quit farting about, would you?
Just give me a shot and I'll shine like the sun.
Follow me. Can't catch what you can't see.
Enemy drone here. My light shines bright.
Hey, let's have fun, friend.
Beauty is pain.
This is gonna be fun, brother.
What's up, everybody? I'm Tank, and this is the ALGS Top 5 Plays of the Week. Let's get right into them. Kicking off the top plays at number 5, we've got ProGents with the charge rifle from downtown Charlie Brown. One tap, two tap, got the knock and the finish. What a shot. At number 4, Shuri Twitch in a bit of a pickle. Squad in the late game, hemmed in, but he's got a Kraber. Here's some footsteps right above him. Oh, one shot, no scope. At number 3, you're about to get a lesson in caustic play from Rhino Live. Late game circle, whole team's up, and they're looking for a dub. And Rhino, he's got the high ground, Anakin, and he's also got a caustic call. Knocks gas grenade out, and huge damage pours out of it. Oh my goodness. It's a triple kill. No, make it a quadra kill. Insane damage poured out of Rhino. Now he's just shooting fish in a barrel. Unbelievable stuff, but wait. Rhino's not done yet. Arc Star off the face. Give him another kill. Moves into the kill lead. And now easy peasy lemon squeezing. This little poor soul has no chance. Lock it in. Dub City. Rhino, clutch it up. At number 2, not to be outdone with the sniper rifle, we head over to Ketis. He's got a sentinel and a beam. Oh, one shot knock. Looking for more? Yes! 2 shots, 2 knocks. Cruising on in. Does he have another one in him? Oh, Team White. And your ALGS #1 play of the week. Coming in from GMA, Sloppy Flap, going to give you a lesson in Valkyrie play. Picks up an early knock, super low on the health bar, though. Going to peel back, try to pop off his shield battery. Footsteps in behind him. Oh, baby. Oh, he's getting tagged up. Little spinorama. Picks up another knock, and now the Valkyrie with the movement capability is out. But wait, heading back in. Wants some more blood? Yes, Team White picks it up. And a little cherry on top, pick up the res. That was your top 5 plays of the week. Make sure you head over to Apex Legends website under the community tab and upload your clip so you get a chance to make the top 5. If you'd like to see more of my content, head over to Instagram, TikTok, or YouTube at TheTankTV. We'll see you next week with another top 5.
Settle it, look at the life that we relish, I'm telling it. I'm the star of the show and the regiment. Can't stop me, bro, ain't no pedaling, ain't no riding the wave. Staring right in your face, you know where I'm getting it. This ain't back in the days. Get ready for more and more, ain't no meddling, no. Gotta know what my head is for sure. I had a show when I was young, I had my back on the ropes. Looking like I never had her on roll. In school of hard knocks, I get hard drops. Got drive even when the car stops. I don't ask it if they let me, ain't no get ready. When you stay ready, let's go.
You see it, but you're hearing it now. The ALGS is back for year 6, and we are here for split 1, day 2 on this wonderful Easter morning. For all of you who celebrate, happy Easter. And for all of you who celebrate the ALGS, welcome back. What a kickoff weekend we've had already. Scintillating games from Saturday, and now we get to continue it with A versus C in EMEA. My name is Rain Day, and I'm joined by 2 of the best in the business when it comes to the ALGS and casting in general, Dia and Graceful. Dia, we're gonna keep this going. Your personality is living in Spain now. So in España, how does it feel to kick off the ALGS in year 6?
I mean, it's felt really good. There was a whole week of celebrations leading up to what I can only imagine is a celebration of the return of the ALGS. I've been looking forward to it all week. I really enjoyed, of course, watching yesterday's games and kicking things off with an egg hunt this morning, finishing it off with some Apex. It certainly doesn't round up to a bad day by any means. I'm quite happy.
Yeah, I had to get the egg hunt early with the daughter. She was finding eggs like this. We needed more eggs very, very fast. So we're gonna take notes for year 2. Graceful, how's it been over there kicking things off? Excited for another year of Apex?
Super excited. And what other better way to start than a big patch change with new weapons, with the hemlock change and character changes? It's just phenomenal start.
Yeah, it's a big change that came through, and of course, we're going to see how that impacts our teams. We saw some teams yesterday, but it's A versus C today. Let's get into who that is, because a lot of eyes on AMIA. They had questionable performances throughout last year. Some top stars have always taken most of the attention when it comes to AMIA. Trying to change that narrative, hopefully this year. But again, you can't help but focus, Dia, on 2 teams in Group C, Alliance and Aurora, who have done some... Do I have to wash my eyes here? What's going on? Am I seeing this right? Hockey's no longer with Effect. Aurora, whole new squad. What is this?
Yeah, it's so crazy to see the Aurora change up as well, because even though they won't be playing today, UAV is a big part of this roster mix-up as well. Uchako, such a big part of Aurora, now having moved on from that, has left the top of EMEA, like you mentioned, Rain Day, in question for a lot of folks. We got to see what Aurora looked like, but I think the big question is, how is this going to translate into, now that we've got sort of a temperature check on UAV from yesterday, Aurora and Alliance?
Yeah, and I think the bigger question, too, is who is going to start performing well, because these 2 teams, both of them have 2 LAN winners on them, Graceful, which means you've got the experience and competitiveness, but not every trade is considered equal there. And I'm not sure who gets the better end of the stick here.
I mean, at the end of the day, I think we can all agree that Effect is one of the world-classest fraggers, but Hakis have been superb since the entirety of his career with different iterations of his rosters. So I think that while we can say that losing a fragger is very important, losing that, I would even say top 3 RGL in the entire world, is even more devastating. So I think that Alliance might have lost a little bit, but at the end of the day, they won the trade.
Interesting. Well, fellas, it seems like we might have a little more to talk about in this conversation. In fact, seems like we have not settled this debate at all. So we need to actually set you 2 up to really get to the bottom of it. Alliance and Aurora, who is getting the better end of this trade? Well, let's bring it into our ALGS Fight Night to find out. ALGS Fight Night. That's right, where we bring hot topics around the ALGS and put our analysts to fight it off and make sure that they get the answer that you at home would expect to win. I'll be the mediator here. We've got Dia and Graceful facing off to see if Alliance or Aurora got the better end of this trade and who's going to be the better team in the first half of this split. Dia, you're talking about Aurora, and I got to hear what you have to say. Why is this going to work out for them?
Yeah, I think, and respect, Graceful, because I know you're going to have to come after this. I think it's a little delusional to say that in the first half of the split, that Alliance is going to do better. If we look at all of the... I have so many different things to say. If we look at all of the old school IGLs who are doing well in EMEA, the number is extremely low. Let's include Hackers in that for a moment, but let's add to that what you said earlier. Effect. I remember Effect's debut at LAN in year 4, and since then, he was already hyped up. I mean, I remember this clip. If you were watching year 4, you remember that moment because it was the moment that Effect stepped onto the global stage. Since then, yeah, he might not have had a great LAN at that moment, but he has continued to accelerate regionally and internationally. And I think the biggest thing that we're looking at here is the comparison between what these players bring. Effect is an incredible fragger, many would say, and I would say, the best fragger in the world. You look over at Aku, and it's not that Aku's not a good player, but what does he bring to the team? Effect is bringing a lot of space. He's making a lot of plays on his own. He is creating opportunities for Hackis that Hackis as an IGL can then take advantage of. And I think you're just not getting that same with Aku. So when we're thinking about what team is going to do well in the first half of the split, I'm thinking, as an IGL, you want opportunities, and Aku is going to struggle to give you those, where Effect is going to create them naturally for Aurora.
I mean, in general, though, is that really the case for every team?
Hold on here, Grace. I gotta push him a little bit. He's already jumping the gun here. I mean, Dia, what do we? I mean, with Aurora and the way that you look at this team, they've had a lot of great rosters as well. I mean, we know Effect has big shoes, but how can you say without the track record of taking talent to the top when they have it that they're going to be able to perform in Split 1? What's giving you the confidence? I don't have it yet. I need to see that.
So a lot of that is coming from the fact that I would consider them to have a track record, even if it's a small one. I know you're talking about the organization Aurora perhaps not having that, but Hiyarka was playing with Uchako before this, and I think we can put Uchako in a similar boat in terms of a creator of opportunities. Uchako used to be an IGL, now on UAV, is trying to do that very same thing, but he is a fragger that likes to get maybe a little bit ahead of the play. Effect is that, but on steroids. He is so big, he takes up so much space on any map that I think that Hiyarka specifically is an IGL that should be a good match with that, since he's paired with a experienced communicator like Effect, and has sort of swapped the Uchako piece out.
Okay. All right, Graceful, it's your time to talk. Let's see what you've got to say against this. Dia put up a pretty good battle there.
I mean, I think in general, while you can say that they might have a potential to do well, I think that it's also equally as high a risk of not doing as well, because at the end of the day, Hiyarka has had success only with Uxako in pair. I think they have split before and not done good, and then came back and did good again. Will that be the case? We'll have to see. However, I think Alliance will do the better because of this consistency. Hakis has had performance across the board with, the iteration of Yuki, Vives, and even Mandy subbing in for Land. They still did good. And all of these times, he is the main piece of the roster, and he is still there, and they will have consistency. One of the things I will say, though, is we have seen from the EWC Championship, and you can even take a look at this clip right here, you can hear the comms. Chill. Shut the fuck up and just shoot your gun. The only thing he has to do is make sure that you are staying consistent, take the win con, play from the IGL's POV, because he makes the call.
Graceful.
Effect does have the outplay potential to make plays. However, at the end of the day, the land that they did win came from the call of Hakis to say, sit and shoot your gun.
Okay, great, Grace. You have to be real with me. You're talking about a Hakis that has performed with like XYZ players. You mentioned Mandy specifically. I love Mandy. So many good things to say about him. But you can't be sitting here and telling me that if we put Mandy in Pro League right now, that he's going to be anything like Effect. And the argument is that Effect is the thing that's making Hakis powerful, because if you look at the other, again, old school successful EMEA IGLs, how many of them are really at the top of Pro League right now?
That's a good point.
I mean,
Grace, get to it.
While it's true that you're saying that he can't fit for that same specific reason, I think more of him as a lifeline where when things turn bad, he can bail them out. However, at the end of the things, it's all about how many end games can you put yourself into, and that hasn't changed at all because the macro is still the same. You're just fitting somebody that I think is more on the same page with Hakis. Aku at that part as the piece can just make sure to stay grounded, stay true to the call, and hopefully follow up on Unlucky. Maybe not the degree of Effect, but I think that he might be able to add a new perspective to the team that we maybe haven't seen before.
You know what? You're talking a big game here, Graceful, but that was a good question by Dia, because how many moments do you remember Aku standing up on a table screaming because he clutched a 1v1 for the team? I remember Mandy doing that. How many moments do you see Aku standing up because he clinched a 1v5? I remember Effect doing that. How many moments do you remember Aku doing that? But I remember Yuki doing that for Alliance as well. I remember every single fragger that was in that Effect position having these star moments. Is Aku enough to do that?
I think that you have to give him the opportunity to do it, because there's so many underlying fraggers that we don't know of yet, or their potential yet, because they haven't had the spotlight on them. Trust me, I've been in that case. Remember Nessie back in the days? We ain't never on stream, even though I 1v3'd several teams. Sometimes you just need the opportunity, and I think when he's on Alliance, the spotlight is on him. Whether he'll be the new person to clutch all the time and make huge plays, I'll be very happy to see that. Or will he crash and burn and people will say he didn't fill the shoes? We'll have to see. It's a 50-50 toss-off.
And here's the thing, is that I'm going to bring this back to the specifics of the question, right? Long term, is Alliance going to be okay? Probably. Are they going to do better than Aurora in the first half of the split? If we're saying Alliance may need time to adjust to what Aku brings, because I agree, like, Aku's a fantastic player. He's really good. You're not going to hear me talking badly about any players on this broadcast. I love all of them. But Aku is a different quantity that Alliance have to play with. I think that in this case...
I hear you, Dia. I gotta cut you off because you know what? You guys have battled well enough. I gotta give it this time to Graceful. I think he defended Alliance well. I think that unfortunately, Dia, he throws it in. He throws the bunny ears off. That was a great battle, guys, because you know what? Honestly, these are two top teams. It could go either way, and I think you were splitting hairs there trying to find a position on either side. But well done for our first fight night here in EMEA on day number 2. It's time to jump into game, and you know that's why we got to get into it. So without us talking about it, let's go see what these players do. A versus C here in EMEA, day 2, but day 1 for Group C. Let's see how they handle it.
All right. That was close, Graceful. I'll give it to you. Out of respect for Rain Day, I'll give it to you. And we'll think about how this might play out as we approach our first map. I think one of the things that is going to catch a lot of people off guard if you're tuning into the season is that we have brought Olympus into the Pro League, and Alliance are going to be starting things up all the way up in the north at Rift. It'll be a very different look at how this team performs, especially on a map that I think a lot of pro players are having issues solving right now.
Yeah, I mean, the thing that I look at the most from this POI is that there's so many end zones. If you have played any ranked Olympus lately, you know there's a billion end zones around Rift, to the west of Rift, like even southeast there. There's so many endings there that you are just such a good macro POI. Never mind the fact that you get loot properly now. I would even almost consider there's so much loot in this game now, especially with the racks as well, that every POI is like you can almost play for zone, no?
I'd agree. I mean, I think in terms of the loot, it's not really an issue. A lot of this has to do with access to Evo, access to the tridents that are scattered across the map. I mean, especially on Olympus, that is going to be so powerful. And it's the reason why you'd expect to see a lot of teams running Gibby. I'm surprised even to see Aurora in a Hemlock Gibby meta to be running with Crypto, Alter, and Rampart.
I mean, most people tend to vie for Crypto Alter in the first stages before one of them gets banned out, especially in EMEA region, where you're trying to abuse it while you can because it's so strong, and later on moving closer towards that Newcastle Gibby we have seen. And we've seen Newcastle Gibby Valk, we've seen Newcastle Gibby Watson, and when you have these opportunities to play, especially Alter and then Crypto, you're in a good spot to be aggressive. And most of these teams, I think, the meta have changed from back in the day. We're talking 20 seasons ago. People were so laid back. We're playing Watson. We're playing our space. We're not doing anything. But now, today in Apex, several years later, everybody's so aggressive, so proactive, looking to make plays, and nobody else than Crypto Alter can make that happen so fast.
So the zone already reminding me of one of the zones that we had over at LAN that finished near where Infinite did. I think any team coming out of Terminal is going to feel pretty good. And if you want to try and rotate through Terminal later, it could be a pretty nice idea as well. Taking a look at who's got ring consoles as well. Citadel have just passed through Estates, and that'll certainly be helpful for them. Rift didn't actually land with a ring console, so Alliance will have to rotate over to Power Grid, and anybody going through Eternal Gardens should also get the benefit of information. But a lot of the center of the map is going to rely on Terminal rotate since there was a ring console there as well. Any team coming from there is going to have a lot more info.
Yeah, this is one of the zones that's not really Omega playable because you can get shot from absolutely everyone if you cross the open space. You want to make sure that you're not like rotating too late, because once everybody's set up, it's almost impossible to play for an area, especially now that we're not seeing the Gibby Newcastle we were talking about. We actually only see a few of, I think we see one combo of it, when those guys might be able to play some areas that are normally not playable. However, the rest of the lobby, they're just sitting ducks if they play early now.
That was such a polite way to say, I don't see any space to play in this zone. You were like, well, it's not Omega playable. What is it? Like, bro, it's just, I mean, you don't have cover, and that's the reality. Citadel Gaming are playing with that right now. I mean, yes, they've got this space underneath for the moment, but this exit from Turbine is going to be hell for these squads, and Citadel know that as well as anyone else. Even with their composition, they're going to struggle because realistically, they don't have a transport option. You're not running something like Pathfinder, Wraith, Ash, etc., Maggie even as a budget transport option to get your team from one place to another.
Yeah, no, we'll definitely see later on potentially people running Maggie. I think at least 1 or 2 teams will be running it once people are pulling out that Gibby more. However, for the moment, people are opting to the Alter Crypto. We see a ton of crypto. People want to say, I want to use it before it gets banned. And we're going to see some really proactive play coming in 2 zones later than this, because now when all the spots are taken, your option is, do we fight early so we can actually take the 3v3? Because the later they fight, with Alter being able to phase through walls and also resetting properly with the ult, now you have the potential of getting 3rd, 4th, 5p'd, because this character just enables so many plays that normally you wouldn't be able to do.
And as much as we're seeing different, crypto, alter, caustic, whatever it is, you're going to be rushing to keep count, everyone. Don't worry. When we pull up the map feed, you don't have to sprint to it. Crypto's the most picked in this lobby, so crypto is going to be banned away as we go into next match. Your opportunity to make the best on this pick is going to have to happen now. FUL taking this slow rotate through estates does give them the opportunity to hit the ring console that we talked about earlier, but it's interesting to see them just stop by real quick, get the information, then leave when they could have stuck around and played for 3rd ring.
Yeah, and now as well here, we do see Alliance. They're kind of evoed up at the moment. 2 away from perps on the entire team. Aku sitting there fully equipped, even with overcharge, overshield it looks like. And now when you have this moment, you're going to have to fight for something because they're too late to the zone. Because like you said earlier, they didn't have the ring console. And when you don't have the ring console, your best bet is to play for more Evos and UAVs to get these points up.
Looking at where we're at least positioned for the moment, it's a contrast of styles. You said every team can play in the middle of zone, but at the same time, we've still got teams like HM that want to try and play around the edge. Trying to lay in a little bit of damage isn't going to go their way for right now, but at this point, it is all about finding the best attachments, trying to wait out for the loot bin reset that'll happen a little bit later, and of course, grab yourself the Evo around the edge of the map. HM are relying on purple shields and realistically slamming a spot in like 5 to 7 minutes.
One thing I will say though, new Elite Hemlock addition to the game. If people haven't played for a while, Hemlock is now automatic. If you want a stronger flatline with the same recoil, aka 0 as a carbine, you're looking for the Hemlock right now. Just came into the game, immediately got nerfed to a little bit where it went from 23 damage to 22. Also 2 minus bullets for every mag size after the nerf. Still pretty much the most picked main primary weapon, where it's even out picking all the snipers, essentially all the snipers and marksmen, because you put a 2-4, you put a 3x on that bad boy, you're sniping people.
Yeah, I mean, it just... Hemlock gets insane and has always been really good with its single fire at range. The fact that now you have basically that level of recoil with a team ahead of you, so I'm going to hold that thought. Orglis and Hungary have found themselves in a 3-way contest over hydroponics. It was the Horde and Priyanki in front of them.
Yeah, I mean, as we can see the zone here as well, Blessed in a prime spot right now in the middle of the zone. No matter where it pulls, they will be able to fight for anywhere where it ends up ending, and they are feeling really good about themselves. However, rest of the teams right now, you will see a lot of collapse happening, especially on the west side of the map over here. East side will only be Alliance holding out one team, and a lot from Terminal side. This is what I like to call is when teams are collapsing on one another, because all the teams that have good spots are sitting very comfortably, whereas every team that ended up playing for Evo are not feeling confident right now, because they are not fighting one team, but they have to also look for people rotating through the zone, because the zone doesn't hurt at this moment, Dia. It'll hurt the zone after this one when it closes, and that's when you see 4 or 5 teams fighting for the same side.
There's no more perfect example of zone teams feeling comfortable than Citadel picking up 3 kills just there. They just took out our first squad to fall, and we'll actually get to take a look at how Citadel are set up even now as they prepare for even more teams that could rotate in behind them, and of course, their next path out. A little bit of a Wraith portal in front of them does... make you spooked, but it's going to be all right. Let's take a look at how Citadel ended up finding those kills. That was a quick slide in from Zuni, and we caught just the tail end of it.
I mean, they just got collapsed on in that room. We only saw the last couple bullets, but it looked like it was a completely one-sided stomp at that point. Only one guy was cracked. However, another one-sided fight right now. inside this small compound on the bridge. Beamsy trying to get up, but can he do it? Super low HP. Gas coming out. Kuro gets it down. However, Chaotic Much also gets taken down. 2 for 0 right now as they're trying to stabilize and make sure they clean up the fight.
FUL should easily be able to do this. The ultra port up to the high ground does have to be taken. Kuro's got to go up, but actually, with a third party arriving, they're not able to finish the kills and instead get finished themselves. HM drop in from the edge to take out FUL.
Yeah, what did I just say about collapsing on the western side of the map? Literally just happened as we saw it right there. When you're getting caught this late, you want to fight as early as you can, or you want to be the last team coming in? Because when you're fighting mid-speed at this point, everybody's trying to get in. And speaking of getting in right now, Orgles and Hungry in the middle of a fight as well, as Mafia goes down. And they get a complete wipe, and they get the reset. Perfect.
There's that old Matafe meme in here. Comes in, goes down, knockdown shield, and now a bubble. So maybe a reset, maybe another fight for Orgles and Hungry, who do have HM pushed up to try and capitalize on the engagement they just saw occur. Estates, remember, is a place where you can theoretically look for a ring console going into this next zone, but Orgles and Hungary can't benefit off of that.
I will say though, Orgles and Hungary, a team to definitely look for when you have that combination of old IGL with Matafe, but also Taxington and then Sampe, one of the players I play with. I actually scrimmed with Taxi and Sampe. Really good squad to look out for. I think Matafe can bring it back. We've seen him. Will he be the Pro League hero and fall on LAN again if they make it or not? I think he has it in him. We'll have to see. However, Alliance, one of the teams we saw play very late there, but they had to just play for opt for Evos on the edge, are now looking to fight. And we've seen them done this before. Currently sitting there, triple purple, ready to fight anything. Can Aku step up to effects impact in fights or not? We'll have to see. However, playing on altar is a good position to do it.
This is big. He's trying to buy them space. Exactly what Alliance need. Exactly what they're known for. Unlucky's able to actually move up with him as a result, but Hakis gets shot in the back. Bubblegum picks up the knock, and now Alliance are between two squads and have just 2 players to work with. ZiPLina Mafia almost take Unlucky down, and even as he swings again to find an answering knock, Alliance are still in a really tough spot. ZiPLina Mafia may very well be the first to go down. Aku's gonna play it perfectly, looks for the kill on Fit, isn't gonna be able to find it, tries to find a reset inside, but with the hard light broken, he is out of options, gonna have to try and disengage even through the caustic gas, and Bubblegum's coming up on him. Surely this is Aku, surely this is Alliance going down!
Pixel seems to have found Hakis sitting on the iPad, and when you get caught out of sight right there, you just go down. It's a 2vx, and now they got pinched and they got mopped out. However, they're not letting go of the W. They are pushing forward because they know that they actually traded in the front. Currently seeing if Trix can make plays happen, because he has had good success on other rosters as well, and we've seen him time and time again on that Bangalore, feeling very confident to make pushes.
And Pixel, Lumina already have such a great position that they managed to wrestle away from both Alliance and ZiPLina Mafia, timing that third party at the perfect time. When we look a little bit further towards the south end of the zone, it's the Horde who are losing their position. They have 2 squads behind them, NOVO and Priyaniki, who are sat inside Terminal. Only one of these teams is going to come out of here alive.
Yeah, this is going to be a tough fight for the Horde as they're getting shot across the map even, but we know Ardeki can make wonders happen as 9names goes down right now. They get a trade 1-for-1. Can they pull this off? Comes down to a 2v2 while they're also getting shot from behind and scouted by drones.
Might be able to pull off a reset right now. The Horde, fortunately, are not easy to push, and Kazak's going to be able to hold this angle for a little while. Nice smoke to make the res just a little bit safer. 9 Impulse getting back up despite the odds. But as nades continue to fly in, and more importantly, those Hemlock Breach charges, there's so much damage coming at the Horde. And we've got another squad moving up next to them. Aurora outliving Alliance in game 1, so I am going to be a little petty about this, Graceful.
Yeah, I mean, it is true. They did outlive them. Effect right there. Did good scouting. Took the cube. Saw a team right there. Says, we're not going to engage with that. Let's just hold our corner for now. We're in on the next zone. South, as you can see, zone, as you can see, pulled south. And they're sitting very comfortably for the next zone. Because once this clone closes in, they're going to have 3 ducks shooting, essentially. Fishes in a barrel right on the north side of the map where they can just shoot everybody. Right now, though, triple blue Dia. Are they comfortable to get pushed by that when we know EMPs are in play?
Yeah, it doesn't feel great. Oirean's going to have to solve some of those issues with the amped cover and poke that he can put out on the triple take. Right now, I mean, you could see it. I was even surprised to see that much restraint from Effect with the Horde so low right next to them. These two teams are coexisting in very little space, and the Horde are actually, they're killable. They're killable. Citadel finding yet another engagement as well. Do end up taking ZiPLina Mafia out of the lobby.
They do get one knocked down, however, they shouldn't get engaged on here. Maybe they do. A kill comes out from the altar. Two people, huge crack, and even the ball breaking from the frag, and they get 2 for 0, 2 for 1 essentially. Now they're looking to clean this up potentially as they get a reset. No, they're leaving him down there. They traded spots actually. They won't be able to get this res off as Zone is currently moving.
Remix actually will be able to get this banner if he plays things right, though. Eats an EMP for now. Has to be careful about the positioning. SJP2 picking a fight with Citadel on the exit as well. Leave Kylar as the last alive. No portal left. Another EMP coming in to make their lives all the more difficult, but gets a shield swap, buying him those critical seconds. He's in zone barely behind this tree, but he gets taken out. SJP2 gone.
That was a rough fight indeed when the zone is moving that fast as well on your butts, essentially. They're walking in. However, in the inside of Terminal right now, Priya looking to make plays right here. Huge alternator damage as Wingman and Alternators makes a return as people have been favoring them. And huge shot from the Wingman right there. Jan's showing everybody what's up because he's one of the players that people have always been looking to pick up and have had, I would say, decent to successful-ish results. However, he's shown up time and time again that he's able to frag once you get him in the opportunity to frag out.
Well, we can definitely qualify this under success, eh, Graceful? You know, success is.
It's a game.
That's
it's
all right.
Game one.
But this
game one.
That was a successful fight that they managed to pull off.
True.
But I am in the same boat as you, where Priyaniki still have multiple fights to take before we can call this game a success for them. Make EU great again. Have just pulled off a respawn. If Nate's able to survive this, and he will not, this may just be a few more kills going the way of YQ as Infinite extend for these kills. It is just one member of Infinite here, and they will quickly be wiped out. Kiner going to pick up the remaining loot off the body, and I'm sure fall immediately afterwards. There's no way Kiner survives this.
Yeah, he has to make a huge rotate with GG on his left side, and he gets taken out immediately. He would have died probably to Orglis and Hungry as well, sitting in that spot where they're safe. They're just going to be looking at... Everybody's going to be looking at GG right here because they're not in the next zone, and Aurora is sitting comfortably in the same old spot before. Gaming Gladiators will be running in with at least 3 teams looking at them, and those 3 teams are the remaining teams. They are not... They have to be going out there.
Yeah, Orglis and Hungry actually focusing on GG. Gives Aurora the time to move up should they like, but GG make the cross successfully. Aurora now has to look and shoot down at them, putting Effect in a risky position. Orglis and Hungry now are looking at Aurora as well.
Oh.
Aurora need to play this height right, but Orglis and Hungry really benefiting off the Gibby right now. That's Gaming Gladiators gone. 3 squads left, and Aurora are right between Orglis and Hungry and Priyaniki. The one thing that could change this is the existence of Alter. Priyaniki have Alter, and sitting inside of Terminal, they can get out and kind of grief Orglis and Hungry.
The real question comes down to which team does Priyaniki end up queuing towards? Because whichever team gets engaged on, it'll essentially open up for a free win for the 3P. However, if they can stall long enough to where Orglis and Hungry, potentially the only team that is playing Gibby in this end game right now, could make their own safe haven with that bubble, with that electrified bubble with the changes, can feel very comfortable as long as they can stall it out just enough. But I think Priyaniki is going to be in for a long time because this zone ends literally in between all of them.
I didn't catch which perk Matafe ended up grabbing on Gibby. He may very well have another ult available, and that would make Orglis and Hungry's position a whole lot safer, especially given the bubble. The fact that they're running Newcastle, Orglis and Hungry can survive a long time on the high ground, or low ground.
this will be hard because the ult will actually hit the ceiling of that building right there. I don't think the ult will hit a lot unless they end up playing on that platform, which indeed it is pulling more towards the upper side of the platform. Right now they're opting to say, hey, we're gonna play low ground, let them fight for top. We're gonna 3P for the last fight, and if it's too late anyways, we just sip up, we bubble down, and we play in our bubble. I can promise you Mafia right now is calling, we're gonna sip up, play the bubble, and then we win. We stall as long as we can, try to push the other team, potentially Aurora, into Priyaniki. However, if that is exactly how it will play out or not, we'll have to see, because Hiarka with a perfectly timed EMP, if that EMP hits when the bubble comes down, things could be very different. However, looking to offer Priyaniki on the inside.
This is going to work. Aurora are cooking with nades so hard that Priyaniki are going to have no choice but to queue through Terminal and out onto Orgless and Hungry. Let's keep our eyes on it, but the portal is going to come in at any moment. Priyaniki actually pushing up despite the damage that Aurora have done. Maybe making the unexpected play, trying to make that work. We'll see how well it actually does. Mobile Shield protecting Orgless and Hungry, who are basically forfeiting the opportunity to play the game right now. They just wait for the fight to go off on the high ground, and it does. In fact, finding the 1-for-1 right now, but this is a third party just waiting to happen. Effect is playing his life, popping in through this portal, but Priyaniki are going to go down. Orgless and Hungry play their cards right. They wait for the win, and as Orange tries his best to 1v3, he will be taken out, giving Orgless and Hungry the victory in game number 1.
Huge play from Orgless and Hungry. I knew immediately Mafia would go for the play because that's the right play. However, this is a minor thing that changes the game entirely. One might just say we're gonna play the stairs and see who they queue out on, but that's the thing. If the other team, Priyaniki, queues out from the inside onto the stairs, you're the ones getting thirded. They opted to go for the low, and they got essentially the free win because of the trades on top. That was such a huge phenomenal play. Even though the EMP actually took out the bubble, didn't matter. Drop down, reset, go back up again, and clean up the fight. Phenomenal play from Orgless and Hungry for the first game of the day.
I mean, I've got to agree with you. I love the call from Orgless and Hungry, and I think that in a textbook way, it is the correct thing to do. They have, as we mentioned, so much survivability on the low ground. I think my question coming out of this is Priyaniki. To me, Graceful, and I'd love your perspective, I think they made the wrong play. You've got 2 altar portals. You're being cooked by grenades and a team that is absolutely ready for you. Why are we not double portaling onto the low ground? Why are we not trying to take at least the first portal onto the stairs, see if anyone's there? And there are only 3 teams in the lobby, and there are 3 places to survive.
Yes, I agree with you. I think what they should have done really is queue outside to those stairs and at least scout. We saw Effect do it earlier. He queued inside, scouted a team, went back out. That's the bare minimum as an altar player that you should do, regardless of what your team is actually doing. You need to at least scout ahead and then decide what to do. They opted to just stay in there, get naded out, essentially just took a 3v3, which they traded, which was fine. But if they played for those staircases, things could have been different. They could have been looking down, potentially forced them out, have done something. However, it ends up with them getting third, which, let's be honest, game 1 third is still fine. However, in hindsight, we need to be looking at more opportunities with that alter queue.
Gotta get the win.
Yeah, I mean, it was interesting. You saw that it was almost just like 2 teams. Aurora had the aggressive plan, and talk about, defending that conversation, how impactful Effect is, Dia. You're definitely getting one on your side here in terms of the votes going your way. Chat, let us know who you thought won Fight Night as well. Bringing that back, I forgot to ask you, but that was a great showcase of another story, which is Matafe's return, and seeing him with Sampe and with Taxington, and really finding their rhythm as a team, playing zone well, letting other teams make bad decisions based on them being in a good spot. So shout outs for that, Orgless and Hungry, and Matafe back in the ALGS year 6 and day 1, obviously coming in it for EMEA. And guys, there's a real great way. If you see all these teams and you go, man, I wish I would have seen a little bit more. I wanted to hear the comms. I wanted to know a little bit more about why Priyanki's decision was being made that way. Well, Priyaniki, you might be able to see him on our ALGS Multiview, which we just added this year. It's an incredible opportunity to watch the ALGS your way. You could look at individual teams and be able to see stats for that team, HUD information directly on the multiple screens. Follow along with all of the action your way. And you know what's great? We actually had one of our own tell you all about it. Dive in, get all the information, and of course that was Dia. So we have a little video to let you see exactly how Multiview works here.
Costume Hey everyone, it's Dia here, and I've got a very special update to share with you all. Heading into Year 6, the ALGS team have been working hard behind the scenes to make the viewing experience better than ever. Let me show you around the newest addition to the ALGS website, the ALGS Multiview. After signing in with your EA account, you'll be able to watch up to 12 streams at once during every single ALGS event. Each team has its own dedicated observer and comms that you can listen to. Viewers will even be able to vote for which player's POV they want to watch. You can customize your layout, add custom Twitch streams, and even draw over them with built-in tools. Team and individual stats will be easily accessible in the sidebar, updating in real time. And just like on Twitch, you can clip your favorite moments as they happen. And yes, you are still eligible for Twitch drops. Now keep in mind that the ALGS Multiview tool is still in beta, so as we continue improving the experience, we want your feedback. Please share it using the button that you'll find in the bottom right of your screen. Now this tool is free to use, and it'll be available for every single ALGS event. So log on, find your favorite POVs, and tune in for the best viewing experience that ALGS has to offer.
All right, we'll go to ALGS.com and log in, and you get access to all those features. I particularly enjoyed you drawing a Nessie over one of the camera angles that you had, Dia. I don't know if that meant the team wasn't really doing much, or if you were just so excited after a play you saw that you just had to express it in a certain way. But either way, it's great that we have that control now.
Life imitates art, art imitates life, and Nessie is art. I mean, I enjoyed it then, and I enjoyed Graceful's perhaps more poignant illustrations during Game 1, pointing out powerful positions on the map and stuff. So I'll leave that to him for now. But when you need Nessies, you talk to me.
All right, guys. Well, Game 1 was great. ALGS and Hungary take the win, and Aurora right in the mix here with second place. Priyaniki right behind them. Let's see if it changes, and if Alliance can get back into it after a kind of a disappointing middling game here in Game 1. So let's throw away to our casters, Dia and Graceful. Kick off Game 2.
All right, Grace. You were pretty polite with us on that first game with the kind of nightmarish spots to play. What did you say? It's not Omega great to play zone here? Was that? Am I getting that right?
No, I mean, I think that the slots aren't that many, and they were all taken. And we could see that what ended up happening. So many teams ended up on edge, and they collapsed, especially on that western side. And that's just the thing that happens on Olympus on that specific zone ending. But when we're talking rift ending, you have like 30 teams that are able to play there, because that's just the outlay on the map right there. However, ALGS and Hungary didn't surprise me, because you know why? They were one of the teams that put out Gibby early, and I immediately knew Mafia knows how to play around Gibby. He has done it in the past, and they had great success. And the best part about that, Dia, with Crypto being banned, it amplifies that. I think we might see more Gibbys. However, their game plan doesn't change.
Yeah, I think that the thing is, I was surprised to not see Gibby even banned in this game, because it's a map with tridents. You want to have a Gibby because it makes your rotations all the better, especially on a map like this. I would say that Gibby is being undervalued by EMEA teams, just because when you're playing Olympus, it's basically a requirement. You have so little options for cover. You want to have Gibby, you want to have Trident, you want to send it into successful spots in zone, and especially if you're looking to rotate in late, that's really the only way to do it in this meta.
Yeah, I mean, I think it also comes down, I think I heard Jamerson say it as well yesterday, where you have teams that have to adapt, because while Mafia, one of the OGs, has played Gibby and has experience on it, there's teams in Pro League that don't have as much experience on Gibby, that might be a little bit shy on taking on the new character. We are already in a new, well, not really a new weapon meta, all the weapons are pretty much viable, but then you gotta take on Gibby, and playing around Gibby is very different if you haven't done it before from a normal team perspective, where everybody's kind of free to play how they want to. When you're playing around Gibby, that means you're playing around the bubble, and if your team is not used to that, you're gonna struggle, because you have to remember, back in the day, Dia, we used to have bubble scrims. We used to have bubble fights only, and we practiced that over and over for hours on end to be the better Gibby team in that shotgun meta back then. And if you haven't had that practice, do you really want to go up against the teams that have done that for a few years?
Yeah, I mean, that was the way that people would like warm up back in the day, right? You get into the firing range, and you just have 2-3 people bubble fighting each other, because it really does come down to, in these close quarters, how well you're able to peak, predict peaks effectively, and the fact that we are getting such a close range emphasis with Gibby being brought back makes that skill valuable again. I will say, in a way though, Gibby's easier to play than he ever has been. The fact that you can now Thunderdome people has made fights, and specifically offensive fights, so much more powerful than they were for Gibby before. And if you'd asked me that 3 years ago, I wouldn't even tell you that was possible.
Very true. Definitely changes for the player base to make it easier to pick up the game, because the game is very hard. If you started today better than several years ago, you're going to have a hard time, but the developers are making their best changes to make it so that people can immediately come into the game and pick it up. However, right there we saw head-on Alliance versus Aurora. I think it's not a fair statement, because at the end of the day, they didn't even get to endgame, but that is a mistake on their part for sure. Aurora, however, looking really strong right now. Was that due to their macro? They got that spot very early, played from there all the way until the end, and got second place, and we even saw some good potential from Effect with that scouting, making those plays, pre-nading the inside, and they even ended up getting trades for that second spot. I think it is really good, and we see these damage numbers. I don't think it's fair to compare damage numbers because they died so early. But
honestly, we're doing Aku dirty here. Like this is
like get to fight.
Like you said, they didn't get to the end game, and I think that the really important thing, Graceful, is that you and I on several important things agree that Aku is not meant to be a replacement for Effect stylistically, and comparing them as such is not going to benefit either player. Like it's just not what they're about. When we're looking at Aku and Effect, and specifically when we're talking about Alliance and Aurora in this context, it is about who's going to do better given everything else. But with the pickup of Aku, Alliance's style is changing, and a lot of this doesn't come down to Aku, it comes down to Hawkes and how well he as an IGL is able to adapt to the change in players. And the same thing with Effect going over to Aurora. I mean, I would say that there is a larger part of Aurora's success that I'm going to be putting on Effect, because he was the one to proactively make the roster move. But some of this going to Hyarka as well. I think it's just how well are you able to play with the new toy that you just got? And that goes for both teams. Respect to Fraggers referencing them as toys. They are people. They're humans.
I mean, I think though at the end of the day, you just gotta make plays with what you do. However, you have to remind yourself as well, there are several teams that they make land but don't do superb. Like Alliance has won Pro League several times, but what I'm saying is that there are teams that don't do as good in Pro League because the lobbies are a lot more chaotic. Once they make it into LAN, it becomes a lot more stable in a sense outside of the earlier groups, but once you get into the later end of the tournament. And I think we know that those are the moments where most OG IGLs thrive, where they know how to play the harder lobbies, even though I would argue to say if you can't play in the easier lobbies, well, then that's also an issue. However, I think that when we look on Effect and Orain, they are two players that thrive on stomping players because they're so good mechanically, and they will thrive in Pro League because of that reason alone.
I think that what we're really talking about here, if I'm going to phrase it a different way, is that as you go down, like away from LAN, if we take Sapporo World Championships as the best Apex quality lobbies, whatever, that you're going to get, as you get further and further away from that, you have more skill checks, and that goes for Pro League as well. And what I mean by skill checks is teams going, I bet you're worse than me. Let's double check. Just running at your face. Sometimes that can be from a better position, an even position, a worse position. But the fact is that teams will bet their game, their tournament, whatever it is, on the fact that you actually might not be as good as them because they've got great players. And as you go up and up, as you get towards Sapporo, as you get towards the World Championships, that is where teams stop going, I bet I'm better than them, because they're going, well, realistically, this is another top 20 team in the world. Are we just going to 50-50 a fight?
That's the thing, really, is though when you have players like Effect and Orain, they are not shying away from a fight, where some teams might be, but they are looking for fights, and I think they are thriving, as we can see right now as well. However, I will also like to say that a lot of the times we only see the gunplay, we don't get to see the macro play too much from each and every team. That's why you gotta follow their, whether it be their streams, whether it be the multi one. You have to look and see what they're actually making macro-wise, because I think Hyarka right there probably put them in a great spot very early, and when you have those moments to play from, it enables your fraggers to make these aggressive plays. But without that macro, you can't really shoot your gun, which we saw happen to Alliance side of things, where Hakis fell super early from a 3P in the ass, and then you have from the front as well when it's a 2v3. Can you really blame for losing a 2v3 while also getting shot simultaneously from the back? Like,
yeah. I think there's an important thing here, like you were talking about, that I want to talk about with Hiarka, because Hiarka as an IGL, I think we have time, right? They're figuring out the lobby.
Why do we have time, D? I want to get into game.
I know. Listen, I want to get into game too, and if I could hit the button that says start server, I would hit the button that says start server, but I can't, and so we're gonna talk about Hiarka. Are you good? All right. So you've seen Hiarka, you've seen him work with Uchako. Uchako's not here this split. Do you think that Hiarka as an IGL functions more with, like you're talking about, putting the team in good positions and then relying on his fraggers to make plays? Because Hockey certainly doesn't do that, right? Hockey will put the team in a good position. He'll also look for the way out of it. I think that one of the things that I'd like to dissect during the course of this split is whether that's true, whether Hiarka and the rotating door of thirds that he had with Uchako is because they were looking for more fraggers to bring Hiarka more plays.
It is very possible. You'd have to actually go into VOD reviewing them to make sure of what stands true, because at the end of the day, there's only so much you can see from these Pro League days specifically. And I think you did it yourself, Thea. You managed to interview a couple of teams, and unless you get into their brains and actually hear what they're thinking about and what they're actually focusing on, it's very hard to say cut and dry this is the case. However, I think that it's one of those cases where I said as well about Effect before. I think it's a lifeline where if you get put into endgame enough times, and you also have lifelines like Effect, where even though it might have been like a little bit unstable, he clutches a 1v3, all of a sudden you got the best spot in the entire game. It definitely opens up for more opportunities to close out games, because you have a hungry player like that. Not only Effect, but also Oirein, where he is looking for plays proactively, and I think it really benefits them. However, once we see them get off compositions such as Alter Crypto, where it's very proactive, hyper aggro gameplay, can they pull out the same results on more defensive compositions if they end up even playing, you know, the Newcastle, Gibby, potentially Watson or Valk? Will we see them slam a spot and just play defensively? Are they equally as good in doing that comparatively to having that extra momentum with aggressiveness?
Yeah, I think that's, really something that comes down to Hakis, and it's the test for him. Can Hakis adapt? Can this split be one where Alliance rise to the challenge and say, this is the player that we are meant to build around for now and forever? Or will Alliance encounter a few too many struggles this split and start to think about where exactly they might butter their bread in future? You consider that. You let us know what you think, since Graceful and I are going back on this. I'm going to go find my start server button, and we'll be right back. I'm going to find my go to break button. Boop.
It's enabled. Hold on, bro. What the fuck?
I gotta give 1v3, bro.
Welcome back to the Apex Legends Global Series. We have in fact located the start server button. However, it is important to note that as we load onto this match of Olympus, ZiPLina Mafia were unable to find their connect to server buttons. So we are going to be going without them for this match and seeing if we can find their way back into the lobby just a little bit later. For right now, however, Graceful, as we continue, as we move back onto Olympus, questions are in the air. Questions like, first of all, where on earth are we going this match? And then, of course, that ever-continuing question of whether Aurora, Alliance, or a third new team is going to come out on top. We had ALGS and Hungary grab the title in game number 1, taking it away from Aurora at the last second.
Having that opportunity to play the comp while everybody else was abusing the fact that Crypto was still unbanned, they get to play the same playstyle, and the zone is actually really close to them. This is a great opportunity for them to play endgame again, once again, and we've seen how they are able to close it out with the calls of Mafia, so it's gonna be fun to see. However, SJP2 right now in a fight against ZiPLina Mafia, who is currently a duo. It is rough. They go out. That's just how it goes sometimes. They were currently in 13th, I believe, and they are now on a donut. However, we hopefully get to see them connect back again next game. However, SJP2, very happy with that.
Yeah, I mean, another couple of kills, never going to be bad for you, especially SJP2, who did just barely miss out on making it into top 10 off the first game. These additional 2 points that they were able to get right now, of course, going to be very welcome. The big question here has to be Alliance, though. Zone is pulling up north towards them. They should know it better than anyone else. They've got a Trident. Yeah. They've got teams popping in onto them. They have their choice of where to play, and right now, Alliance are sitting dead center of Rift.
This is the thing. This zone typically ends up going north of Power Grid. We've seen this zone time and time again, even when I was just scrimming, ended in those pits north side of Power Grid. And when you have that zone ending, even if it ends up pulling towards Rift side on that hill on the east side of north side of Power Grid, now you have spots to where you're able to play for a long time, because this is one of the zones you can have several teams survive together here. And will they be able to do that or not? Earlier on, it's scary because Aurora already have that top side of the map. One of the teams that just got second place match 1 are already in God spot, essentially, for match number 2. Will they be able to close it out? We'll have to see.
I don't know, Grace. Like, looking at this, isn't the top part of Power Grid a little too cut off for it to go Power Grid? Shouldn't it go, like, right towards the south end of Rift where it connects? Well, I guess we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, regardless, this is the thing. Why a lot of the times, and this is one of the things I always tell every RGL to do when they've asked me for a little bit of help, is that you need to play spots that isn't hard locked in on one zone. They're playing the north side where you can rotate to either side. Does it pull Rift? You can go Rift. Does it pull Power Grid? You can go Power Grid. You're in a spot to where you can adapt to where the zone ends up pulling, and those are the best spots to stay consistently like across the board to get those, collect those points every now and then. Because if you're all locked into one spot and it hard pulls, all of a sudden you went from guaranteed top 5, top 3 to a 15, 10, and we're looking at very inconsistent points, which is something we definitely want to avoid.
It's funny that you're talking about these powerful positions as well, because the Vicious and FUL on your screens right now are fighting for that position, wanting to get up to the north side, the flexible side of zone, so that you have the option of where to play and aren't just emerging into the middle of it to be farmed by teams around the edge should you have to move. FUL really wanted to take this north spot away and were unable to. The Vicious played defensively well enough that FUL are forced back, and unfortunately for them, it's not where they want to be.
It definitely is not where they want to be. However, they are playing Alter, and they're opting to see and playing Maggie, like was said. More teams are picking Gibby. Let's see if we can abuse that with that Maggie pick. They're going to be looking to see if they can set up some isolated fights on edge, because they are not dead center right now. If they're able to get isolated fights against a Gibby team specifically, they might be able to make some magic happen.
Alter is the most picked legend in this game, so afterwards, we won't be seeing any more Alter. See how it ends up going, of course, but taking away those options from teams. And our third and final map on Olympus is going to be something that really changes the way that they have to play the game. When you have so many fewer options. Valkyrie giving a few teams options right now, however, and most notably Citadel, who are able to basically free rotate into the, I was going to say north side of Power Grid, and they decide absolutely not. Let's go south side.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the teams we saw as well are opting to see if it pulls Rift side. Whether it pulls Rift side or not, we'll have to see. Regardless, Aurora sitting very comfortably. Alliance sitting at their drop POI. However, all the teams on edge right now are fighting as a Trident comes in.
What is this?
Guts getting beamed by right now by FUL, and they get one down on AJ.
Just waiting for the finisher, I suppose, as Portal's about to pop, and they grab it just now. FUL happy to play aggressive on the edge of zone. Find a kind of BM execute, if I'm honest, but the drive-by kill for them really working in their favor, and FUL confident in taking the next couple of fights as well. They need the points.
That's one of the things you have to make sure as well. You finish to make sure they can't crawl into that TP specifically. BM a little bit, but definitely strategic. I think though, however, AJ was definitely struggling right there with stay healthy, being currently in 16th, 1 point, and losing one member this early is definitely rough. You need to really look for the reset if you can. But when you're on edge, on the side where you see 3 other teams, it's going to be hard to get a reset. And even if you do, are you going to get run down? We'll have to see.
I do want to note that HM right now are actually running into the Vicious, which is a curious thing to see. When we saw the Vicious fight so hard for the northern side of this ring, the opportunity to rotate into slow side of zone, the fact that they chose not to take it, potentially a mistake. If I'm honest, Graceful, I'm looking at this, I'm saying it is one where FUL seem more than happy to continue playing aggressive on the north side of the map, find themselves even more points, and continue playing for the more flexible side of zone.
Yeah, while they do get it down, however, and they're getting this reset right now, one of them gets traded by Chaotic, probably from the side. They're feeling more than confident, though. They're going to have to fight at some point, but feeling very happy with this spot for the moment, because initially when they're fighting for this, there was more teams around, but now 5 teams are lurking there. Which team will start the fight and which team will end it? This collapse happening on the west side of the map is about to happen in about 2 minutes.
Yeah, HM were like, I think we'll wait. They hit the survey beacon and go, actually, I don't want to move out of carrier just yet. Teams like Orglis and Hungary, however, do not have the opportunity to hold on for the play. Instead, they choose proactivity as their weapon, moving right into the center of zone. A risky spot, as you mentioned, Graceful. Orglis and Hungary have now committed to holding this building because moving out of it is a death sentence.
That's the thing. The zone actually looks to pull a little bit more towards Rift, so we're probably looking to see the zone end right around where Blessed is playing. Currently on top of them, where you can see this map right here. Blessed is playing in that spot around the area where the zone typically ends when it ends up pulling here. It could pull deeper. However, once again, Aurora looking very comfortable right there, because even if they have to move out just a tiny bit, they get to decide which side they get to 3P if they want to. If Gaming Gladiator gets collapsed on from the west side, they could 3P that, get more KP. However, if nothing happens, they get to walk in slowly and shoot at Bless. They're feeling very happy right now with their positioning, I would assume.
I mean, here's the thing, Grace, is that Aurora, they don't even have to pick a side. This wall is fake news. Altar's in the lobby. Aurora could fight Gaming Gladiators, then go fight Blessed. They could fight Blessed, then go fight Gaming Gladiators. They could fight neither team and just exist in the liminal space between walls.
It is true, the character enables plays for sure, but you have to remind yourself that building that they're sitting on right now is on top of that slope. They get to decide the rules, and I'm very excited to see whether Effect or Orion is making plays, because right now we see one of the players lurking closer towards Gaming Gladiators, but nothing happening, just taking a little sniff.
That's got to be Effect, right? Like, just just
one of them.
moving all the way out there. Somebody's sitting back on the Void Nexus, waiting to pull him back if something goes wrong. Things are going wrong, but not towards the north side of the map, actually towards Fight Night, where Pri and Iki are finding their next engagement. Made it up to top 3 in game number 1. Can they replicate that now that they are pinched on this corner of zone with FUL looking down on them from above?
A lot of alternators we've seen in play so far, people have been opting for it to see if they can get that upgraded ASAP, where some have been playing the R9. However, alternator making work right now as people are about to take a fight. Alter Qs comes out. Can they fight for height? Do they have nades to make plays? We see a couple of nades, but no real peak so far. You have to get an advantage. If you make that play dry, you're gonna get cracked.
Yeah, what 1K Exist is hoping to be the difference maker, right? Sometimes it's a nade, sometimes you force it with your face, and that seems to be the position that Pri and Iki feel like they're in right now, but a great third POV to take, the third party waiting to come in onto this. Priyaniki continually resetting on the low ground. They've got FUL trapped in the building, but they haven't yet recognized that there is a squad behind them. 1K does have to back down off the stairs. Orbit comes out with the Maggie ball, but does not fire his weapon for a second. Jans finds the kill. FUL, they are in a really rough spot as Priyaniki commit for the finish, and FUL should be going down. 2 of them already out. And the third actually trying to exit the building with the Trident, will do so successfully, leaving Priyaniki now trapped inside the building with Make EU Great Again looking in on them.
Great play right there as well from the Bangalore, making sure that he saw the trap. He made the disabled the trap with that smoke grenade, enabling that push essentially to win the fight as well. When we're seeing these plays over and over again where you're being proactive, making the other opponent react and think to what you're doing, we see a lot more success than being passive, as we saw the team on top of right there just kind of waiting for a play to happen. However, the team on the bottom decided to say, hey, we're gonna make plays, and it ended up in their favor. I would say stay proactive as long as you can. And as long as you're fighting inside that building, you're not really getting thirded across the bridge, because they were initially trying to fight on the bridge, couldn't make it happen, took the fight indoors, made that decisive play, and that opened up the west side of the map for them.
And here I was initially critical of the Vicious. I thought that them moving away from the north side was going to bite them, but taking out the Horde, finding 3 points, I mean, you can't argue with with extra points that they otherwise might not have had, especially with how chaotic Fight Night has been. Priyaniki did manage to make their way into the zone, as we saw the end of that story in Fight Night, where Alliance, still trapped center Rift, are making the best of it. They picked this spot early. They darn well better be able to play from it, and they do, eliminating Potassium.
Get a couple of loot, KP potential. No KP, I think, but they did get some loot right there. That will set them up for the rest of this game, potentially, if they can clear out that side of the Rift. Zone ends up pulling really deep into Rift, but now a fight happening on the south end of the side of the map where Vicious is in a fight.
They've got so much cover with these stairs as well. The head peaks, the little tree for some cover. Unfortunately, third parties don't care about any of that. SJ Pichu come up the hill and finish what the Vicious started. Looking for the last little bit of damage right now. The Vicious will go out. SJ Pichu are the ones to escort them from the lobby and now get to claim all of that loot in a, I was going to say uncontested part of zone, but I'm taking that back. They've got to fight again. SJP2 take the high ground.
Oh, huge super glide comes in from Querney, looking to make plays as well as the team is underneath them. They decide to opt out from that fight as SJP2 immediately show their teeth and say, hey, don't mess with us, as they already cleaned up one fight right there. And that's why you can't really fight too late. However, instead of being on edge, we're seeing a fight dead center zone almost, a little bit south, where NOVO is having a field day.
Yeah, that was a rough place to play, to be honest. It looked like a couple of fights going on at the same time, and that will just mean that we are pushed down to 13 squads, blessed exactly as you called it, in the best spot in the game. They're dead center of zone. Orglis and Hungry already contesting for it, and I'd like to draw everyone's attention to Aurora, who are not getting aggressive, who are not firing their weapons, who are sitting in the back, waiting for their opportunity to strike, to third party, and hopefully to win the game.
This is what I said. Zone ends right on top of Blessed and Aurora in a great spot as well, because those are actually pits in between every team. There's a pit on Blessed, pit on Orglis, pit on Aurora. Whichever team ends up getting pinched will have a rough time, because we don't see that many Gibbies. We don't see that many Newcastles. Not a crazy amount just yet, but we see a ton of Caustics, and that could force things a lot. As in this dome right now, speaking of forcing, Priya, as we saw earlier, forces the fight, takes out Citadel Gaming. Humongous play. They didn't even get cracked.
That was so smooth that I honestly find it hard to believe, Graceful. You don't see wipes like that all the time, especially in the center of zone, with the amount of third parties that we already had happening. Looking down on Make EU Great Again, Priyaniki could even look for another engagement, but are going to poke their heads out of the building to try and take blessed spots, to try and move up on Orglis and Hungry. They go through one altar portal, they're going to go through another, are taking the fight in the corner of the ring, but this is just as GG. Crest the hill, Jan's the last one left alive, through the Gibby bubble, Lufko will slide on him, taking him out. Priyaniki gone, Game and Gladiators resetting in a corner.
The great collapse happens as GG comes through the zone to fight for the exact same location. They end up getting that spot because they have a gen, feeling very happy with that, making sure they try to reset, but they're getting shot at from the dome right now. I believe Nasty's team and Alliance is there fighting for the same spot as well, looking to make plays right now. They came from deep end Rift, they've been there the whole game. Can they convert some kills right now?
Aurora could have fought Blessed right there. You see a Gibby bubble go down, and this is the really important thing that we got to keep in mind as we go to another Gibby meta. Bubble cooldowns are everything. As soon as you see that fall, there's an opportunity to make a play. Alliance hoping to make their play on the inside of the building right now. Are picking fights technically with multiple squads. There are 3 different teams on this building right now. Alliance, Infinite, make EU great again, and I misspoke. It's 4. Stay healthy are here as well.
4 teams right there. Alliance at least managed to identify that, no, we knocked somebody on the top floor inside, not the bottom inside floor. Took a little peek, decided not to opt for it, as Zidane right there is trying to scout for some information. Because the zone is about to move in 10 seconds. Most of these teams are not safe. You're bound to have to fight for something.
Clean, surgical play out of Alliance. Again, this is great, calling a great approach to the fight. Restraint is what this new squad has. Stay healthy, however, showing absolutely none of that. Commit for the kills on Orgless and Hungry, and are immediately taken out by a combination of Blessed and Aurora. These 2 teams in the best position, and it's time for Aurora to start putting the screws to Blessed if they want this win.
Yeah, most definitely. However, they're feeling very confident right now. They're trying to see if other teams are collapsing on each other first because they're still in this zone. However, next zone ends literally on top of Blessed position. If they can somehow defend the north side as well as the south side, which I highly doubt, because you have Alliance pinching from the south, you have Aurora pinching from the north. Those are the 2 teams we talked about initially going into this day. 2 of the juggernauts essentially in this lobby today. And are they gonna let them just stay there for free? Heck no.
This is the fight to decide it, Graceful. I mean, Aurora already down 1 member. Hiarka gonna get back into the game right now off the pickup from UAIM. They almost left the lobby early, but Alliance are looking for redemption, looking to prove that it is they, in fact, who are the top of EMEA still. Zidane takes the fight. However, unfortunately, pushed down onto the low ground. It looks like HM will be pushing him out of the lobby next. They've got this Gibby bubble fight wrapped up. Surely, double jump out of Wraith. Nice patch. Does get Zidane a little bit further, right next to Alliance, who do end up taking out NOVO as Infinite go down. We are out to just 4 squads left. Blessed, caught in between Aurora and Alliance, and the wild card, HM.
HM actually feeling kind of good if they can keep everybody on high ground. The moment somebody drops down low, HM is going to look to brawl for that lower side things to then potentially 3P up top. On the flip side of things, the teams up top want to force the other teams to either drop down low or fight each other. That's right now just flying around in the air, looking to see where is every team. Can we make a play? However, they're going to go down early. Alliance already looking to play aggressive on this without over peeking, because now you have Aurora staring at them from far.
Why did they do that?
Yeah, I don't know.
What?
They didn't feel safe. They didn't feel safe. Had to make a play, and they just bit the bullet.
That's, you know what? That's all good. That happens to everyone. It's happened to me, I'm sure. It does, however, draw back the curtain on the main event. Alliance and Aurora fighting each other, and it's a nice swing from Aku to dismantle Aurora's defense. Hiarka goes down. He keeps playing with these portals as Unlucky goes back to join Alliance. Completely destabilized Aurora, and Aku swings in for the last kills. Aurora are down. Alliance are on top. 2 squads left, and looking down on HM, Alliance have defeated the Titans of the lobby so far, and now can hope to take the win. Can HM be that wild card and take this away from them? There's a triple push going up, but with the bubble already down, HM have lost their biggest card.
Alliance managed to stay up top right there, making sure that they cannot climb through the bubble. They're just looking down right now, shooting fish in a barrel. There's nothing they can do. Zone is about to be on top of them as well.
It's calculated. It's an Alliance win in game number 2.
Oh, good play from Alliance. Managed to play from Rift very early right there. Managed to stay there the whole game. Zone pulled towards their side. Managed to fight several teams, mind you, on that dome building before they fought and took out Aurora at the end and then closed out the game. But you have to know, even though they cleaned up Aurora, immediately took high ground, stared down and said the team is going to climb on us with the bubble, managed to lock them out, closed out the win. Phenomenal performance from Alliance. Probably what we've all been waiting and hoping to see.
And it's another case where the team that it doesn't quite manage to win, we're looking at it and, you know, going through this for HM, I think it's just a really tough thing to time. Alliance and Aurora's fight didn't need to happen right then, but you can tell that both teams are so exceedingly comfortable taking these engagements, relying on the mechanics of their squad and the knowledge of their IGLs to get them the edge in these games. As we talked about going into this game, actually, it's a skill check. Taking the fight up on high ground there is absolutely the right move for Alliance and Aurora. One of them needs to die to win the game, and the fact that Alliance win that opens them up to win the game. Great moves towards the end game as well. Just making sure the third party didn't happen. I don't have enough time to talk about how much I love that end game from Alliance.
I mean, I'll have to say though, Alter is now banned. We saw Aku Signs of Life making those plays initially with that Q behind them to open up that fight, potentially for them to end the fight. That can no longer happen. We've seen the proactiveness out of them now. Will we see a little bit more slow-paced, proper team 3v3 fights instead of that individual opening up that fight now? It's going to be fun to see. However, we also cannot dispute the fact that Aurora has been put into endgame 2 for 2 games right now. If they can keep this up, consistency across the board is going to go through the roof.
Orglis and Hungary still staying on top, and Alliance coming up behind them. Like you say, consistency, the real separator of these squads, as Alliance did go down early in game number 1. HM coming up behind them. It is a fantastic day to be tuning into the ALGS, not least of which are the reasons because you can actually join in on our continuing collaboration with Bandai Namco. We've collaborated with them to create some Gunpla model kits after some of our legends. Now, while the in-game event might be over, you are seeing some of the remainders of it on your screen during these games, you can still enjoy the crossover that we've got by heading over to playapexshop.com and checking out these amazing limited edition model kits inspired by the legends Crypto, Valkyrie, and Alter. We are giving away 2 of them on Play Apex Esports on Instagram. So if you head over to our Instagram, again, that is Play Apex Esports on Instagram, you can go over and I think it's comment is what we've got to do. Head over, find the post, comment on it for your chance to win the Crypto or Alter colored Gunpla. There is no purchase necessary, and of course, you can check out all the rules and eligibility over on our Instagram, Play Apex Esports. After that, as you do that, we are going to take a quick break before we head into Game 3, which will be our final game at Olympus before we change maps. We'll see you then.
Red Bull is giving wings to the ALGS and the Apex community.
Giving wings.
Red Bull gives you wings.
Wings.
It's fun.
In Sweden, it's Red Bull ger dig vingar. Yeah, same. I'm gonna go pee.
Welcome back, ALGS. We had a nice little break there after game 2. It's Rain Day and Dia who will be on the mic for game 3 as we close out Olympus and transition to Storm Point in our coming up game. But we still got one more on Olympus here, Alter being banned, Dia. And I think Aurora will be very happy that Aku is not on Alter, especially if they're considering just the last play that he made on them in that final 3.
Yeah, that was absolutely fantastic. And I mean, I know that you were the biased judge, Rain Day, in the pre-show, but I
You mean
think
unbiased,
that
right?
I mean unbiased, of course. But to be clear, I think that last fight was a pretty good argument for Graceful's end of things, right? Aku was still able to play the fragger role in the most important of ways, opening things up when directed. But there was no overextensions happening. It was all clear, calculated, as we said in the end game, and it really felt like that game was an expression of Hackis's game plan, then enabled by Aku and Unlucky.
And I don't know the difference of what Effect would have done there. I don't know if he would have tried to peek out and maybe stay longer, maybe try to finish the one clip. Maybe he would have tried to peek over the top and just see if he can get a couple of headshots, some clips, some things that are a little more harder to do when it comes to aiming, the things that he can do really well. But when it comes to decision making, that's a whole different part of Apex Legends too. And as much as Aku has got such big shoes to fill in the 1v1, 1v3 category, he's clearly demonstrating, why he's in this position. 18 years old, and, having played for Mouse Esports, having played for Roadhouse, having had these teams already in his back pocket, now on Alliance, ready to step up. I mean, showed absolute mastery of how effectively to use Alter against another great team in EMEA.
And there's never been a better time, folks, to jump onto the ALGS multi-view and take a listen for yourself as to what's going on behind the scenes, because we're sitting here, we're theorizing a lot, but we cannot be in the comms all the time, although we do occasionally take listen-ins. But like you're talking about, Rain Day, you do wonder what the differences are, right? And a lot of them in that final fight, I see that fight and I go, you know what? Alliance still probably win that, whether they have the old roster, whether they have the new roster. But they win it, as you say, in different ways, and I think that the game as a whole looks so much different for Alliance, who did play center zone so well, who did move together so well in this game. We'll continue breaking down the differences, breaking down who's coming out on top, Aurora, Alliance. I will say one of the two teams have won a game so far, so Alliance, they're a bit ahead. Let's see if Aurora can strike back in game 3, or whether we will have another player entering the stage. Or listen, Hungry already took game 1. Maybe it's time for a new challenger to rise.
I love it. We're getting to see all the OGs in EMEA kind of settle in early on in split number 1. And that's what you love to see. Some of those star power names that just jump back out in front right away, at least to give us that narrative. And for fans as well, this is a big incentive for the ALGS coming into year 6, reducing options for roster changes, limiting the days you can roster lock. These names, these players, they know that when they're jumping into orgs this season and this split this year, they're going to be committing a little bit more than they did beforehand. And the changes are going to be that much more necessary and niche in order to get the job done, but not to collapse these rosters. So again, a lot of those big names coming out early and hopefully feeling comfortable, not just in their play, but in where they are calling home for year 6 to go ahead and battle, as these battles, hopefully in these first 2 games, are just a sign of great things to come here, Dia, with a lot more battles for the rest of this afternoon. And the Southern Zone near Bonsai and Terminal, what are we thinking here as teams already starting to rotate?
I feel like exactly what Graceful gave us in game 1. How did he put it? It's not a game where it's Omega easy to play zone, something like that. What I'm trying to say is that it looks pretty miserable to play zone here.
I love the way you put that. Not Omega strong. It's really just not. I'm not Omega good at that game, but I'll play.
Reed,
not what you want from a teammate when you're jumping into ranked. Although we still got to get our ranked in, Dia. Again, it's hard to play with a guy who's in Spain all the time. But hey,
I have actually discovered on a completely real note that playing from Spain to US East actually really good.
Oh, okay.
It's not just like, oh, this is playable. Like, I feel fine. It's awesome. Ooh, this is not so awesome, though. This is a little rough for Alliance. Aku's already gone down, and it looks like we may be flipping coins on whether Alliance are making it to top 1 or whether they're going out between 20th and 15th.
Wow, that's something you need multi-view for sure, because how did that happen? Obviously, Alliance had a great start in Rift, and they saw the zone, they got the information, and they rotated through really the phase in Olympus, and, you know, introducing this map, different ways to get around, tridents, obviously, and that huge phase that runs through the middle of the map. It's something that is risky, though, however, because it dropped them off near Hammond Labs, and they ran into SJP2 much earlier than they probably would have. So that is an unfortunate start. We'll see if Unlucky can pull them back in as Alliance down, but not fully out here for the count, as Artico, Sanya, and XDDco here with a little breach charge on the Hemlock, trying to break down that door and secure this kind of middle ground here near Bonsai Plaza.
This is incredibly difficult to hold. I am really surprised that they're going here, I want to say early, but kind of at all. You're predicting a zone 3 position, and if Blessed are going to play that spot, they've got to have a lot of meds. SJP2, what they've got is a lot of firepower that enables them to take this fight early on, but Denze still goes incredibly low, partially to his own riot trail, as a catwall goes up on the other side. Make EU great again. Do at least manage to disengage after Nasky took a huge chunk.
Nasky really low, though. I mean, it was really 2v3 for a second, but that catwall did enough. And so that's a big resource down, and they're just going to wait it out. And they're in another building. Why would something be different? SJP2 don't seem to be slowing down the pace. They're going to have to make a stand, not just make EU great again, try to hit some of these shots. And that RA-45, it's here to stay. Is Nasky here to stay, though? He's getting wrapped around the right side. One knock for Nasky. Oh, and maybe another one here. He's got a shield cell of life's worth, but it's going to be enough. Nasky finds one, Nate there finds the other, and that's SJP2 eliminated. A great hold from Make EU Great Again.
Nate is my hero in that fight. He saw Nasky getting sent and went, I'm wrapping you. They managed to pull off a 2v1 on Denze. That is the kind of play that you get with trust and honestly a fair bit of attitude, saying, that's not happening on my watch.
You know, micro elements of that fight too. Nasky gets pushed, but he doesn't die, and he actually gets the trade. He actually wins his 1v1, stays alive, and so the double that's pushing him now, they're already down. They're already in a deficit in terms of members up, and he's committed to that push. And so Nasky's just delaying, forcing him to be in a much worse spot. Nate coming up on the other side and just cleaning things up nice and easy. So a great start from Make EU Great Again. And you know, Nasky, one of those OG names, sits right alongside Hockeys and Matafe and as IGLs who have been trying to really reach the pinnacle of the ALGS. A championship has still eluded them, but been plenty of wins across those days. For them. We'll see if it starts better here.
One of the IGLs that I was thinking of when at the start of the stream we were talking about who were the great EU IGLs who really seem to have fallen off. I think especially last year, Nasky fans would have felt it. He did some incredible things during the year, but still fell so short of being able to execute on the IGL level that he was known for going into it and in years previous. I'm excited to see how far he can reach, but it is so clear that this is a player, like many in EU, that are having to reinvent themselves.
Yeah, and I think, you know, shots here from the sky could be tough. The Vicious see some easy bait here, and it's, you know, going to be not a good spot to land. They're going to just take any of those ideas that they might have had and coming over this way and send them right back to where they came from as Vicious clears up their pathway. But I think Nasky had that thing about him that was so aggressive and so confident that when it worked out, it was amazing. But when it didn't work out, we lacked some of the flexibility on how to figure it out after that. The moments where he was the SJP2s of that fight and he pushed, but it didn't work out. How did he come back from that again and again? Did he keep challenging? Did he keep finding ways to be aggressive, or did he, you know, adjust? And I think that's what Nasky's worked on throughout his career, on figuring out how do I take my skills at being aggressive, recognizing good moments, but then also add the maturity, the emotional understanding of I lost that out, I have to take my loss. Now we got to play a little differently if we're going to see the long-term vision of qualifying for, you know, final day at an ALGS LAN, which we've seen him narrowly miss many, many times. So it's one of those things that I have to keep watching here, and making you great again. A great start for game 3. We'll see if they can push that into some more momentum here. Maybe have a great day with the end of Olympus coming up after this round.
Yeah, I mean, realistically, in this game, to narrow the focus, they are going to have to fight for Terminal, and unfortunately, Making You Great Again, despite running Catalyst, won't really have access to any ring consoles. Citadel do, however, in Bonsai. Infinite can run Phase Driver, as Vicious realistically are not playing for ring console. We've all seen how they're playing recently. And Alliance may be able to hit Hammond on the way in. It is just a little bit of information that'll be getting ahead of people, though. Realistically, the team coming out of Terminal, much like we had in Game 1 on the opposite side when we had this Ring and Hammond Labs, just has such a big advantage. Whoever wins the fight in Terminal, be that Making You Great Again, FUL, ZiPLina Mafia, or Alliance, or even another squad, are likely going to be in the best position to win the game, or at least pick up a top 3.
Pixel Lumina getting pushed back out from Bonsai Plaza. Tough spot. High ground is pretty good here as long as you've made sure to clear out any of the lines of sight to it. This could be one of them, but you can see teams already crowding up this space. Pixel Lumina getting more and more resources thrown. And again, teams trying to find their way into the circle as Billy on the Mad Maggie. Diaz just been a great character to come into it, obviously with Gibraltar being a big part of it. I know we're not seeing them here, but they've got to make a move. And of course, who am I talking about? The team we've been talking about all day, Alliance. So let's listen in and how they make this approach.
There's nobody. Yeah. I don't want to tank them, bro. I have nothing. Might be team in front of us holding. Are we in here? We're good. Yeah. Yes, wrap. We need to go solar. I'm not scanning anything. Front dot terminal. Yeah. Wait, pull back. Sure you want to go here? Wait, yeah, go back. We need to get to this corner and then fight, yeah. Like, we can fight for the outside. Yeah. Walk it for now. Team here. Okay. We have to fight on. Can we 3 together? 3, 2, 1. 3, 2, 1. Yeah, shoot him. One outside. I got fucked. I'm with me. No. Oh, I need meds. Yeah. Can't play that. 3 cells, bro. I mean, I don't know if we can fight. I don't think we can, bro. We're so far. Can we just go fucking in solar? Wrap that? I think we can. We make a TP from there. We can go for this corner. Let's fight for this corner, and then we just make a TP from there. I think it's much easier to fight from there.
Just being realistic about their economy, I mean, you have to admire that Alliance are able to make that call, but I gotta be honest, Rande, it's not making the game any easier for them. Being able to fight or not, the reality is Zone is coming for you, and Blessed are coming for the south end of Zone, walking up on the fight with Vicious right now. We're going to be losing quite a few teams in the next 30 seconds as Alliance may very well go down to the Zone, but Blessed are aiming at Citadel and the Vicious simultaneously.
Yeah, gotta be careful. They're juggling a lot here, and you know, you can be talented as a juggler, but when you get too many flaming swords in the air, you know, you do run the risk of one falling down where you didn't intend. And right here, Big Lutch going down as the plan was, but I think it was smart to see Max Strafey kind of pull back, take the wins. They're gonna find Cracked here in just a moment, get another KP, and then push together. Going back to Alliance, I actually like the call and the awareness. They are still going to have a tough route there, but at least they're realizing that, you know, they cannot do what they were trying to do and making it quick. They are in the middle of a skirmish with Stay Healthy as well, fighting for that. But on the other side, CTG getting out, and Zudi going down. Kaisha going down. It's just Remix Powers almost going to fall here. He's got to do a lot with a PK. PK in a dream, I like to say. Well, in a knockdown shield, but he's going to go down as expected. And Infinite will take the kill, but they're just next in line.
With Citadel gone, Alliance, remember, absolutely med poor, have nothing to do but walk forward. Unfortunately, they will fall, this time to NOVO, one of those last teams out of Solar, who get swept by Game and Gladiators as well. Full 3-man strong with a full pylon and a bubble. Gaming Gladiators, at least for the next few seconds, are untouchable, and they abuse those few seconds.
Yeah, as they should. I mean, no good decision happened there for Alliance, as you can see, and they tried their best, but it was just too many teams set up. And with this Watson, the impact of not just the buff that is super silent, but is really, really good. Just her consistency in holding down space, but also the demonstration of how terrible it is to get hit by a wall, becoming that much more obvious. Sorry, a fence to become that much more obvious with 35 damage each. It's just, again, something you do not want to push, and so great with that gen in this Gibraltar meta. Obviously, Gaming Gladiators is a team that a few months ago, I guess starting of last year, at the beginning of the year, we thought could easily be a contender for a championship from EMEA. They slowed down, but it's a nice pickup there, staying alive with 12 squads left as round number 3 is looking to come to an end.
I want to draw everyone's attention to the upper left. It's gone now, but I'll tell you what was on it. Make EU great again. They've got the zone pulling to them up in the north. We talked about how this team likely has a fantastic position, especially if they're able to control terminal, and their game read is exactly that. Moving up here, they've really got to make sure that they keep an eye out to their right-hand side where FUL can still come through, but their focus so much on the front, just trying to take out Orgless and Hungry, make their lives miserable. Orgless and Hungry's bubble gets deleted, and that is going to be a continued siege on the north end of the ring.
Coming in a little late. It's just the teams who are able to do it, who can get through the gauntlet. I mean, they're having some really nice shots on teams who are already there. The Valkyrie Skyward Dive's going to get canceled out. They're not going to make it. And so now they have to walk in, and this is tough because the Gibraltar defensive bombardment is coming, and it could be spread around in multiples of 3 to go down. Oirain here with Aurora and Effects still alive and in the fight. Our third place team looking to add a few more KP with Rampart to the tally, and this surely will be the end of Gaming Gladiators, but it's also maybe the end of Effect. They've got to see if they can stabilize here, Dia, because pressure's coming.
This should be fine. Make EU great again. Don't actually want to give up their spot. It would be, I dare say, to give up their spot. So Aurora's reset, uncontested, as they do it clean. They put down the mobile shield. They get this done. Blessed, however, do fall because they used the Gibby bubble earlier to clean the south side of the zone. They sacrificed that safety for the kill points that would come with using their bubble then. Make EU's great again. Focus has to be on FUL. Much in the same way as we were looking at Aurora and Alliance last game, we have to be looking at Make EU great again and FUL.
I mean, this is a team that plays off a little passion. And having that first moment, that duel that just went Nasky's way, it's clearly impacting Kiner. Nate has the confidence after making that 2v1 swing in his favor to keep holding and pushing these teams where they can. They are shooting when possible. They're not playing small. And so I love this from Make EU great again. 10th spot so far on the day. A big win here. That would push them up in nearly the top 5. But right now, those places are held by teams like Aurora, who now moved on up into number 2 and are holding the middle of the zone, and our team that Make EU great again have in their sights, but are going to have to deal with eventually if they want to win.
A little bit of passivity, I will say, won't kill Make EU great again, although FUL just might. There's 2 arc stars up in the sky just to try and make this reset possible, but it is not. Nasky gets taken down, and just as I was about to make a point about taking Catalyst to the end game, it seems like Catalyst will not make it to an end game. Nate's 1 HP. Beamsy, look at him. Look at him. They've got
still alive.
Surely. Sure.
I mean, Nate is buying time. Beamsy just pulls back. Doesn't want anything to do with it. My God, Nate! Holy! This is what Nate was bringing to the table, the confidence there. And Making You Great Again finally fall, but not without doing some reciprocal damage. And Orgless and Hungry now in trouble. They'll get eliminated. Nate with a huge just return fire.
That's the danger of FUL for sure, but my God. Like you're saying, can't say enough good things about Nate there. Very few other teams are going to be able to get even 1 additional point for their squad. Aurora looking for a little bit more than 1 point. They are looking for a game win after a game 2 that got away from them. And Arca tries to open things up. He's got 2 fraggers on his team. And he's the one trying to make plays. It does not go well, but a reset should be possible here.
Feels like he knew there was something good available. But again, that's that patience. That's that operating as a solo. And again, he's not the type of person that you necessarily would expect to be out in front that way. And all the talk about Effect, we might have seen him take a peek, but Effect playing patiently, holding down in zone, doesn't want to go out too far. And Priyaniki know that that is Aurora underneath him. Thermite right in front. 1K with the Mozambiques trying to break down the shields. Going to be an immovable object right there, that Newcastle. They should wait till zone or until somebody gets a pick. But Priyaniki just holding the staircase. There's no good spot to go, but which position do you like here better, Dia?
Yeah, I mean, this is so miserable for Priyaniki. They are caught between a rock and a hard place, and for some reason, both of those objects have weapons. Priyaniki don't have too much that they can do, especially without something like a catalyst, but this caustic ult needs to buy them enough space to move by Aurora. Unfortunately, it's not doing enough. They are sat in the same spot. HM are going to lend a hand to this. FUL still by far in the best position from my view right now.
Wow, incredible. They got the Wraith Portal going on, though, for Aurora. And this should, if they can stay in it and keep the portal, maybe nullify some of the damage from the defensive bombardment that would have hit with the new upgrade for the FaZe Dome. Fuda on the backside with HM holding down this area, too, and it feels like they have a lot of room to play. Now the Newcastle wall might just have the advantage in this fight, and it looks like it is. Aurora going to take on Priyaniki. Alonzi up into the air will be the last one to fall, and maybe he can have some theatrics here just to stop this becoming his team going out early as a solo. But it's Aurora now pushing towards HM.
HM are not going to have a good time here, especially because they've got the rat of Priyaniki behind them. We're Valculting. All right, I mean, it's not the only time that I've seen a team Valculted in zone, but it's not going to go well for them. It's not going to go well for Alonzi either. Realistically, FUL and Aurora, this is the game that should come down to them. HM landed exactly the same spot. Take out the rat, will be taken down themselves. No dies, almost completely dies to zone. FUL's job is to finish off this squad, and it should be the third party for Aurora to come up onto this high ground. Somebody's got to open it up. Hiarka goes for it, but it's Oirain that finds the first knock. FUL down one, managed to trade just as HM expire, and it's Effect, last one standing on the low ground to make a stand for Aurora. He cannot even make it up the stairs. FUL take the game.
What a hold from FUL. That was fantastic for them on the backside, dealing with all the threats from above and down below, and they make sure Aurora cannot get their first win they are so desperately trying to find here in this first match day for them on day 2, Dia.
I mean, they're trying really hard, and God, I hate to be arguing Graceful's point of view, but man, like that end game, it comes down to a lot of things. It would have been difficult if Alliance were there as well. That is an end game where your IGL really matters. Hiarka did a bunch of incredible things there, of course, to even get them into second place, was trying to make plays himself, but you can really feel the impact of a situation where you could be in a position to win the game instead of a position to be playing for second and almost trying to claw that back, get some of the momentum.
And you know what? It's a good problem to have, especially when you're getting as many points, because you can work on it. And Hierarch is trying things. It doesn't really work for him to play that, as you see in that round, a little too far advanced for this team out in front, and he gets the punishment, but it's not too big of a punishment. They get KP, they stay in the game, and ultimately they are at the top of the leaderboard. Orgulous and Hungry Alliance, they've all won games, but they are not catching Aurora right now. We'll see if that changes. FUL jumping up into top 5, 11 places because of that major win. So a big shout out to them. And honestly, FUL, Orbit, Beamsy, Kuro, with the Maggie, the Caustic, and the Valkyrie, really excited to see how these squads keep pulling forward. No Newcastle, which has been a pretty big stay, Dia, for these next ones. And you can get, by the way, watching all of these in zones, you'll get something pretty cool called the Philip Flop. That's right, the gun charm. If you want to wear the cool sandals, and if you know, you know, the Philip Flop can be yours, earned by watching 30 minutes of Pro League. That's all you got to do. Stay here, keep hanging out with the ALGS, and it is going to be all you.
I mean, if you caught that game, you're just about 10 minutes away from grabbing it. We go about 20, 25 minutes-ish in a game. So, and if you were here for the game where we had to restart, You definitely got it.
Yeah, exactly. There's been some time, but don't worry. We got 3 more games to come, and we got a special guest showing up in just a minute on the other side of this break, so don't go anywhere. We've got more ALGS right after this.
What's up, everybody? I'm Tank, and this is the ALGS Top 5 Plays of the Week. Let's get right into them. Kicking off the top plays at number 5, we've got ProGens with the charge rifle from downtown Charlie Brown. One tap, 2 tap, got the knock and the finish. What a shot. At number 4, Shuri Twitch in a bit of a pickle. Squad in the late game, hemmed in, but he's got a Kraber. Here's some footsteps right above him. Oh, one shot, no scope. At number 3, you're about to get a lesson in caustic play from Rhino Live. Late game circle, whole team's up, and they're looking for a dub. And Rhino, he's got the high ground, Anakin, and he's also got a caustic call. Knocks gas grenade out, and huge damage pours out of it. Oh my goodness! It's a triple kill, no, make it a quadra kill. Insane damage pouring out of Rhino. Now he's just shooting fish in a barrel. Unbelievable stuff, but wait, Rhino's not done yet. Arc Star off the face, give him another kill, moves into the kill lead, and now easy peasy lemon squeezing. This little poor soul has no chance. Lock it in. Dub City, Rhino, clutch it up. At number 2, not to be outdone with the sniper rifle, we head over to Ketis. He's got a sentinel and a beam. Oh, one shot knock. Looking for more? Yes! Knocked. 2 shots, 2 knocks, cruising on in. Does he have another one in him? Oh, Team White! And your ALGS #1 play of the week. Coming in from GMA, Swappy Flap, gonna give you a lesson in Valkyrie play. Picks up an early knock, super low on the health bar though, gonna peel back, try to pop off his shield battery. Footsteps in behind him. Oh, baby, oh, he's getting tagged up, little spinorama. Picks up another knock, and now the Valkyrie with the movement capability is out. But wait, heading back in, wants some more blood? Yes, Team White picks it up. And a little cherry on top, pick up the res. That was your top 5 plays of the week. Make sure you head over to Apex Legends website under the community tab and upload your clip so you get a chance to make the top 5. If you'd like to see more of my content, head over to Instagram, TikTok, or YouTube at TheTankTV. We'll see you next week with another top 5.
Red Bull gives you wings.
All right, guys, welcome back. We had a fun game 3 there. FUL take the win, and it was a win in a fashion that we hadn't seen too much, with no Newcastle around, no walls to play against. It was just good positioning and some great finishes. But that Olympus run of those first 3 will end, and now we will switch over to another map to finish off the day. But before we do that, we're going to have a special guest in just a moment. Dia Graceful on the desk with me. I'm Rain Day, and speaking of this guest, this is a very important person because, you know, they are a community member. They have done a lot of great things that the community has jumped in and gotten excited about, including being the first female to solo to Pred in Apex Legends. Of course, I'm talking about Amamira, who was probably sitting with a cup of tea right now. I saw her in the chat earlier on. But Graceful, you're the type of guy to do this all the time. You got to say this is a difficult challenge. And you know what? I got the person here herself to talk about it. Amira joining us here on the ALGS Halftime Show. Amira, welcome. And how are you doing?
I'm good, thank you. How are you guys doing?
Doing fantastic, doing great. It's great to have you. I heard, is the cup of tea a big thing? Is that a community thing, or you just, how do people know you love tea?
It's a massive thing. I'm a big fan of a wee cup of tea, honestly. Drink it all day.
You know, I think if I sounded like that when I said cup of tea, I probably would drink it that way as well. If I sounded that cool, okay, a wee cup of tea. I can't pull it off right now. Well, thank you for joining us. We want to just get a little bit of, to know about you. I know you obviously had the accomplishment that is huge of going all the way to Predator as a solo queue player. As someone who solo queues, that is not easy. That is a huge accomplishment. What is it like when you're doing those types of runs in front of your community? How is it for you as a creator, managing the ups and the downs and then finally getting to that moment where you did it?
Honestly, I think it's great crack. You know, I think being able to solo queue, it's a lot easier to engage with the community and stuff at the same time. And if anything, like the biggest challenge of it all is just it's a big test of mental fortitude. If anything, I think, you know, the biggest skill with solo queuing is being able to detach emotion from your gameplay. So a lot of people fail with solo queuing by, you know, getting tilted and angry. And I think it's the best thing is to just maintain your composure and always be able to adapt and change your gameplay to try and succeed, honestly. But I love it. It's great.
I mean, you say that. I've also caught a few of your streams, and you're a very energetic streamer as well, right? Like when you're talking about maintaining the mental, you still bring a lot of energy to the gameplay, and you're doing that while also balancing the fact that you're streaming the whole thing. You're also interacting with chat. How are you managing to like put on a show but also be sufficiently locked in to compete with the best of the best?
I don't know. I'm a big competitive person, and I always try to succeed in like everything I do, and I've always been like that since I was wee. And like I sort of bring that into the game as well, and I want to keep it fun and engaging for the community too, because you know it can get bored if somebody's just sitting there playing the game over and over. So I like to just, you know, bring a bit of fun to it, do some songs and all sorts of different stuff, and just, you know, I try to keep it lively.
I mean, I really only have two questions. One is, what is your favorite brand or taste of tea? And then two, how do you actually treat, like when I went for the runs myself initially, I just treated all of my teammates like body bags. You bait the heck out of them only to trade them for something. Because if you don't, they just go down for free and you're in a 2vx. So like, what was your biggest thing that you felt took you to Pred this time? Because have you been close other times? What made it happen this time? Did you struggle with the maps per se, or is it the weapon meta, or did you just like the legends the way they are right now?
Yeah, I think for me this time, what did it was just streaming 24 hours and just not stopping. Because you know, Pred does fill up pretty quick at the start of the season, so I was just really determined to just sit down and do it this time. Because I've done solo to masters, I don't know how many times, I've lost count, but yeah, I think that was the big thing. And my favorite brand of tea is Yorkshire tea, but because I'm from Ireland, I have to say Lions is probably a bit better than Yorkshire.
I was just saying, the second you said good crack, I said you got to be Irish there. Sometimes, you know, and I love Ireland. It's one of my favorite places. Galway specifically, Cliffs of Moher. What a beautiful location.
Oh, it's gorgeous.
And, you know, just before we let you go, obviously you're in Ireland, you're streaming, but you have been in the ALGS environment live as well. You've attended every single LAN over the last couple of years, except for EWC. How has it been just putting the faces that are a part of your stream, a part of your community, to the people in real life in Apex Legends for you?
Oh, it's been great, and I've got to know a lot of the guys and stuff over time, and I've made a huge amount of friends just from going to LAN. And you know, I think the atmosphere there, it's always, you know, the crack is 90 is what we'd say back home, but it's always a great atmosphere, and it's good vibes, and yeah, it's there's nothing like it, honestly. You have to go to one if you haven't been.
100%. Well, Amira, thank you so much for joining us. I want everyone to know, where should they look out for you next? What's on the horizon?
Well, I will be streaming every day. I try to on Twitch, and then I'm going to start making more content as well, because I'm a bit of a one-trick streamer. So definitely I'll be on the socials and stuff.
I love it. All right. Well, thank you so much, Amira. It was great talking with you, and hopefully you enjoy the rest of the ALGS, and hopefully we see you, if not on broadcast, at our upcoming LANs this year.
Thanks very much for having me.
All right, Amira, everybody go follow her on Twitch. She is making some new content. You heard it first. She said she's doing it, so I expect to see it. Dia, we also had some great action across the pond in APAC North, catching up on their Pro League day.
We did. The APAC North played a lot of games, and they did it in a very short amount of time, as tends to happen with the APACs. So these match days did just kind of blitz by, but we had some important highlights that we wanted to bring, especially if you didn't get the chance to catch those broadcasts because you were either sleeping or it was the start of your day or whatever it may be. one of those was Zeta Division, who did actually manage to find some wins, and you'll be wanting to keep your eyes on Zeta Division because they've got Yuka F this split. So that is the squad to keep your eyes on if you are a fan of the old gold best top of the league in APAC North. Unlimit as well also drew some eyes last season with Ularaman, and they did actually manage to place pretty high up, almost missing out on the top 5. They moved just into the top 6. Enter Force 36 to me are definitely a highlight squad that everyone should be looking at. Ovally, Jusna, and Synap have chosen to stay together and are doing really well for the start of the season. But you also got to look at Dory, who were a team that basically nobody was thinking about in terms of international competition last year. They went 8th last year in Split 2, and now are top of the league. So keep your eyes on Dory, Rain. That's what I got to say about APAC North.
Yeah, a lot of stuff with APAC North as well. And I mean, of course, heading into our next 3 games, it's important to keep an eye on our standings with Aurora at the top. Yet they haven't gotten a win. They're still searching for that one. Hierarcha tried to will them into the win. Didn't work out, but we'll see if next game it can occur. Alliance as well have done really well to stay in that top 6. They've got to win themselves. FUL recently take game 3, but now we switch over to Storm Point. And this is going to be very familiar locations for Alliance. And obviously, a lot of other teams that have been kind of creating some trouble for this lobby. Priyaniki as well, Graceful, a really strong team. Blessed also staying in the mix. SJP2, they're running at people. We'll see how this all transitions into Storm Point's next 3 games.
I mean, seeing the fact that they're right next to each other, Alliance and Aurora, it's gonna be scary. But we have seen Aurora in every single endgame. The consistency that I was initially talking about, Hakis, have shown up instead on Hierarcha, where, hey, we're in endgame every single time at some point. And I always say it, if you put yourself into those endgames over and over, you should be able to close out those games. But even if you don't, look at the scores.
All right, Graceful. It's time to move in for our next map, Storm Point. As you had mentioned, this change up going into Storm Point is going to be one that really does test the consistency. That was something you highlighted, I believe it was in game number 2, where you were like, all right, yes, you know, Alliance have just found this win. Oracles and Hungary pretty consistent. What is that going to mean? I think Alliance, of course, did struggle on Olympus, but if we're really looking at that from a zoomed out perspective, Olympus is the map that you're going to struggle to be consistent on. Storm Point is where the teams that are really practiced should be succeeding the most because it's been in ALGS so much longer.
Not only that, but this is a zone that everybody recognizes. If this pulls into the wall, which a lot of teams have they know how to play around it, they should have those consistent results as you've been talking about, especially the teams that are nearby that are able to read it. Whether or not you have this ring console or not, a lot of the teams can actually read this very early on. However, as you said before, all the other teams that are closer to the top 5, maybe even break into the top 8, have had 1 good game, 2 maybe lackluster games, and we really need to see those teams step up, because at the end of the day, it's after game 6 where it really matters. 1 good game, but if you drop 4 or 5 donuts, it doesn't really matter. You got to get those average points up.
You'll have to illuminate me here. I'm going back and forth on what the best way to play this zone is. This, however, is hilarious. Nono's trying to find a portal and is absolutely not going to be allowed to do so. Aurora cut him off at the knees, and Nono will fall. That is an unfortunate way to go down, but I'll be honest, Grace, once the trident's on you, kind of inevitable.
Yeah, I mean, there's really not much you can do as well when you have essentially snipers with the hemlocks as well. They're shooting at you, beaming you from far end. There's really not much you can do to get away from that. It's a tough scenario. However, Aurora not stopping right here as Orain opens up another down on Zip. They probably won't make a play on this, but, you know, it's just showing that, hey, don't mess with us.
This is that skill check that I was talking about, right? Aurora, they get to just run in a team and go, I bet we can one-clip you. And it works out. I mean, it works out twice. Maybe once, depending on how you want to look at this. But as you say, that that knock on ZiPLina Mafia doesn't turn into too much more because the priorities are elsewhere. The priorities are on making it to Zone, and Zone is so much closer to Wall. Make EU great again, have positioned themselves pretty darn well to play Gatekeeper, but we got to keep in mind that they're playing Catalyst as well. And Catalyst is an interesting legend who you do kind of want to babysit into the end zone.
This is the thing, though. They're playing in a spot where Zone, like, if it ends, it typically ends a little bit more east than them, and they're gonna have to be forced to walk in at some point. But Catalyst makes that happen because with that wall, you do extend your playable area and also shutting out teams into potentially running into one another. However, putting yourself into this positioning very early on is kind of scary when you're only on blues, in my opinion. We'll have to see how they figure that one out later on as the game progresses. However, Aurora looking really good so far. However, I will also like to say that we are talking about effect a lot of the time. Oirain was the one who one-bagged him from on top of that roof. So they truly have the firepower, whether it be a roller, whether it be an MNK player, they got the firepower of both types.
That's so low Nasky. He's like budgeting together a crypto drone by throwing a shield on top of the trident and just face checking the building with it. I mean, you've still got a great spot. It works out for making you great again, but very silly to see it live, and I'm sure that we'll see it again. FUL, another one of those squads that has been enjoying skill checking other teams lately. They and SJP2 very willing to go on an aggressive push. This time, however, it bites them as the Horde are taking no disrespect and take out Beamsy, finding themselves a point and looking for a little more.
Don't get me wrong, they can skill check probably a couple of these teams in this lobby, but the Horde has been sleeping a little bit today, is not one of them. You give them a little bit, you give them the finger, they'll take the whole hand right there when you see Hordeki, 9imps, and Kazak really showing up that they can also shoot their guns. Can they, however, take this small bit of win early on in this game and snowball it later into the game? We'll have to see. They have been struggling quite a bit for the day, but we're only halfway through right now, so we'll have to see.
When we get the chance to take a look at the map a little later on, I want your read on this as well, because this zone does pull over towards Wall. Barely does it include the northernmost end of it, where typically we'd see teams play over by Prowlers. And I'm wondering how you feel about it, given what we talked about on Olympus, playing flexible positions. Say the northernmost edge, where Alliance are playing right now. Yes, it's flexible, but it's extremely unlikely for the zone to end there. Are there better spots to play than at the northernmost tip in a zone like this?
Definitely Prowlers is more than playable because you have options still. If it ends up pulling into Wall, you have that tunnel. There's a tunnel from the Prowler side into that, essentially the building where Infinite is playing. However, it comes down to how they are playing from the building. Are they playing gatekeepy and are able to hold that tunnel? But depending on legend comps, there's really not much you can do sometimes if they just bubble up and get to that corner. Because once you get through the tunnel, you have a lot of playable areas just underneath the platform, a little bit down the slope. That makes them safe. So it comes down to how well they get held in the tunnel. But if we're talking about Alliance, I feel like they can brute force a lot of things. So they should be fine for this zone.
Kuro gonna get a little bit more information. There's actually maybe spotted, but having already lost 2 teammates, there's not much more that you can risk. So realistically, looking for a crafter right now. Well, the Game and Gladiators put themselves in a decent position for endgame. Again, this one is very zone dependent though, and does call back to exactly what we talked about, Grace. If Game and Gladiators have the zone ending on them, yeah, it's possible they win the game. But if this zone moves even an inch to the left, they're not making it out.
Yeah, a lot of the times it doesn't end like, unless it ends on that zipline building, which it doesn't seem to be. It looks to be going to the northeast side of Wall, actually, where a lot of teams, Alliance included, is very happy to hold out teams if they can hold out the western side of the map. But we'll have to see if they can do that. Gaming Gladiators, however, feeling comfortable right now. But that's the side that will get collapsed on, because every team that thinks that it ends inside the wall, like in the inner central side of the walls, will be fighting for that side. However, every other team that's on the northern edge of this zone that we can see, even though they're not in, even Orgless and Hungry are still very happy to be on that side because they can just walk down the slope, essentially.
I'm drawing your eyes right down to the south. FUL, they've crafted the banners, but they've got Citadel rotating on them. I hate to say it, Grace. I think we're seeing the end of FUL right now as, oh my lord, they hit the respawn, and Citadel, I don't think could be happier with that. We'll see if FUL can turn this around, but it's going to have to be a 2 versus 3 in the zone to do so. This may very well be perfect timing for Citadel to just pick up 4 points.
I mean, you go into Kaisha with full HP and your Kuro with that low amount of HP rather than shields, you're gonna get knocked down almost immediately. Citadel Gaming on the chase right now, but they gotta make sure to heal as well, as everybody's popping a medi. Good choice because they're already in a 3v2. So we'll see if they can pick up this KP or not, but they're more than happy with this place that are right now on edge, really far on edge, mind you. If they get held the zone after this one, it's gonna be scary.
Honestly, I'd like them to just do a little bit of damage and then let the zone do the rest of the work. FUL, by making noise here, are attracting attention, and Citadel putting themselves in a rough spot as well. Gravity Cannon out by FUL saves their lives for now. I am really impressed that they were able to even make it out of that alive. And with 6 seconds left on the zone close, it's not like they had a lot of time to cook that play up.
Yeah, it's gonna be hard. But speaking of hard right now, a fight breaking out as we see on top of the building. Trix is running inside the building. They're all looking to reset right now, but Fricks up top. See, an arrow comes out. We haven't seen that a lot of the times. Comes down to a straight indoors fight. Magibolt comes out. Gas comes out.
We are just spamming abilities into the building, and you know what? It works.
I want to say one thing, Dia. 90% gunplay, by the way. I could barely see. Did he shoot his gun? I saw an arrow, a stinky, and a ball, and he was down.
You know what? That is that's a skill difference, I fear. I think that this is just, to be honest, a good situation for NOVO to find themselves in, maybe a little bit less for Pixel Lumina. Citadel are continuing to pick off FUL, though, as they completely rotated around Jurassic Park, and now are looking for Orbit, that very final member. They may not have gotten the Red Bull first strike, but they're looking for the second. Game and Gladiators, as we mentioned, once they had to move, were in an extremely difficult spot, and unfortunately, they did have to move. Infinite were ready to catch it as well, and Game and Gladiators have just ZZ dropping back in. This should be a full squad wipe for Infinite. Zidane almost pulling off the one clip, but his team will do the rest. Infinite do manage to grab the squad wipe, and 3 points go with that.
That was very scary for YQ, as he is on 1 HP. However, they do get the rest, so that shouldn't matter too much. Happy with what they got right now. Zone will be showing soon as well, in about 30 seconds, I believe 20 to 30 seconds, as other teams are opting for the tunnel side of things, where ZiPLina Mafia is posture drop right now, seeing if they can hold out Priya.
May very well be able to do so. Priya seem to know this is happening with the Seer. Ilonzi does go fishing, but not going to find anybody either time. Instead, just going to have to rotate straight past and forced to use the Catalyst ultimate with the no information that they had. ZiPLina Mafia really want to take this fight as well, but that arrow is going to go a little bit wide. SJP2 not having the best time against the Vicious inside of Command Center, but Scan won't go through Catwall too quickly. Kearney gonna loop around right now, try and find a one clip on MG. Clutch has no cover to play and extends just that inch too far forward. The Vicious, same thing as you said before, you give them a finger, they take the hand.
That's the thing about the Vicious. They're one of the teams where they all have firepower. Can they have the macro down? We'll have to see, but when it comes to shooting their gun, they're more than capable. Zip right now versus Priya in this cave. However, sneaking up on them right now. Zip about to get pinched by the Horde.
Waiting for this to happen. They're playing so silent, so safe, but the trap goes off, and that should be enough to alert ZiPLina Mafia that they're in a pinch. Unfortunately, I don't think there's much they can do about it. Ilonzi does have to back away from a Sparrow arrow that zones out the team, but Priya Niki sitting in this corner are still going to be able to pick up at least the one kill on ZiPLina Mafia, having found the knock, and actually a second one going their way as well. What they didn't expect was the continued wrap from the Horde. There is no mercy given by the Horde, who now own the high ground, but have yet to find the knock on Priya Niki. 9 Impulse going to swing. The Grim Reaper swings with his scythe, but it does not quite connect. Kazakh goes down, and Priya Niki, now the ones with the initiative, can double swing on this. They hold hands, cross this pillar, and Hardeki takes a big chunk. Impulse swings again, but this time will fall, leaving it all up to Hardeki with the gas ticking away between him and Doom.
It comes down to this fight right here. However, Horde didn't get too much value out of everything they invested with this, with the Sparrow arrows and the nades included. Couldn't finish off that fight. Comes comes down to a 1v1 actually, and now they're just looking to recoup. Who can get the rest first? We'll have to see. Jans is looking to pop a bat instead of opting for it. Zone is moving, forcing him out of that location. I think the Horde might have gotten a reset.
And they will with high ground as well. This is a real. Oh no! That was a really great spot a second ago, but then a few nades came in. Hardecki's back on his lonesome again, but with Caustic, can still put up a defense on the high ground. He's already in zone. Looks for some kills as well. I think the Horde get out of this okay. I mean, down a member, but it's recoverable.
If they can clean up this fight and potentially get the reset, that'd be absolutely amazing, but they need to do it soon, because if they let this stall for too long, they won't have too much time to see what's even ahead of them in the next zone. However, looking to get some nades out right now as the wall comes out, it looks like a stalemate. 1 minute though. Will Priya decide to go straight in, down from the tunnel, straight in to make EU great again, or will they try to walk into high ground versus the Horde into a 2v2? They don't even know what's underneath them. It's going to be a tough decision for sure.
I've already got the banner. I think looking for a respawn beacon right now. That's the Horde's only opportunity to come back as a full 3-person squad, is to move out towards the north after this fight. What they don't know is the Potassium have heard this engagement going on, and right now throw a few shots in towards Hardecki. Not a comfortable spot for the Horde to be, with one of them in zone and one of them being looked at immediately by other squads. Potassium just have to defend that exit. Well, everybody in wall pretty much chilling, Graceful. Wall predictions looking good.
Yeah, it's actually central wall instead of pulling out more towards the northeast. However, make EU great again, as we saw against Priya. Gets one of them down. Nate have been showing up in the kill feed around the day. That's always good to see. However, getting kind of low. He shouldn't go down here, as he's feeling kind of comfortable.
Alliance just raw pushed Infinite and got taken out. Naski's down as well, so it looks like Make EU Great Again now have gone from trying to push the advantage to trying to stem the bleeding. Priya, Nikki will fall. 10 squads left, and now the zone is closing as well. We're going to drop a few more, and Make EU Great Again could be among them. Looking for the last kill on Hardecki. This time is of the essence.
I'm not sure how Nashi got down there, but Zone is moving in right now. It's in their favor if they can get to stabilize for just a moment before they turn their backs. But Hardecki is looking at them. He gets 2 downs actually as Kazakhs comes in as well. It's now into a 2v1, and they're looking to clean up Naski through the wall, and they do it. They somehow clutch it out. Hardecki showing why he's called a Reaper. Reaps the teams in front of him, going 2vx right now, seeing if they can get anything into the next zone.
That's the power of the Horde, baby. Hardecki does spot Orbit behind him. Aurora splitting attention as well, but Orbit finds a one clip before eventually falling. Hardecki not going to make it into this zone. He does it! That gives the potential for Kazakh to find a reset here. Aurora could look for a finish. This Skynet could be juicy.
Skynet in. I'm not sure if it hit something, but I want to see what Aurora is thinking right now, because they are looking on fire.
Fucking roof, guys.
But we can get the roof.
We can roof. Roof is free.
Yeah, we can get roof in a second.
He's going to
They're getting it. They're getting it. I can
shoot him. Shoot, yeah.
Knock.
I'm ulting. I'm ulting.
Yeah, do. Go. Come left.
Out.
So much damage tacked on the roof.
I need it. I'm ulting again.
Can we wipe this? Can we wipe?
Yeah, guys.
Coming. I'm late.
Help, Yarka. One is finished. Finish.
Chill, boys. Chill.
Yeah, finish, guys.
Watch our left
inside.
Effect, come.
I'm good.
Guys, stay on this one, and then we walk up late together.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's chill. Effect, can we perm watch our back? Okay, I'm even going.
I'm safe.
On me complete safe.
Safe on us as well.
And on you, yeah. I'm going on you. Yeah.
I'm gonna loot quick.
Guys, when zone close, we have fucking god spots.
Wow, did you see the same page we're on? They were all looking for the exact same play, and that's what we're talking about, being on the same page with your team, saying, everybody saying, look at the guy on the roof, shoot the guy on the roof, we need to fight for that roof. They made it happen, and they got that key positioning into the next zone, where the zone actually ends a little bit underneath them on top of the big roof. If they can hold that spot, they're looking at a bare minimum top 3, in my opinion. They could even close out this game. However, like we've said the games before, they've been in every single end game. The IGLing, the macroing from Hierka alone has been on point, never mind the fragging from both Effect and Oire.
It's been enough to get them into that conversation for top 3. Can it be enough to win them a game? What really stood out to me in those comms, I mean, Hiarka is acting like a laser pointer for the squad. Look at this, look at this. And that comm alone has been getting them so far. Blessed, unfortunately, maybe about to have their journey cut short as they move forward and got laser pointed themselves. So many squads looking directly at this. And Artico, the latest recipient of a few unfriendly bullets to the back, will be the last member to fall of Blessed. Aurora in that god spot on high ground, firing down even now at Heaven or H. This is looking good.
They're looking to see if they can clean up some KP underneath them in that corner as they're trying to rest. They get a couple shots in, however, want to make sure they don't get pinched from underneath by Infinite. While they might have the higher ground, it's going to come down to probably a team underneath bottom right or just a team underneath Aurora, and then Infinite on the outside on the bins where they actually have a platform / a little ledge where they can play. Who will push who into the other team will decide the victor. However, Aurora looking pretty strong right now, but Infinite not feeling very satisfied with their positioning right now, as they're already set up with the Newcastle wall and everything.
They've got Watson fences to prevent any push, but realistically, Infinite aren't going to get full sets. Somebody's going to have to walk out into them, and that's where they really get to thrive. Keep an eye on the ammo counts for Infinite, because they have to show presence here, but they can't afford to run out of ammunition for when a team actually full sends them. Aurora can't afford to get too aggressive themselves either, and that's where this Catalyst could be the biggest thing in the game. The amount of walls that you're able to put out, the amount of safety that you're able to allow onto the map for a few seconds is going to favor Aurora, but Flizzon's got one as well.
I mean, we talked about it. Can they make sure to wall off a team so that they're forced into one another? We'll have to see, but Flizzon trying to make magic happen right now. Gonna be very hard right there. He's keeping the dream up for any KP, potential KP that they can get, making walls on repeat, trying to shoot out barrels. If I was him, I'd opt for low ground, but chilling. We're gonna have to see. It's very scary indeed.
Stay healthy, do just have enough space to do that. Nobody's really challenging here. Rescuing Zidane, Kizaron does end up watching the catwall go down from Aurora. They can play small for right now. This space is essentially theirs, which refocuses everyone on Infinite. Hiarka's getting crazy damage through this wall, but again, they've got to play and wait for the wall to drop. Whoever's on the other side of it gotta get lasered, and this time as it drops, it is HM on the high ground that Aurora have to enter a fire battle with. Hiarka slides up on it, finds one, finds two. Hiarka carrying the banner for Aurora, helps wipe HM, and now turning around onto Infinite. There's one squad left in Aurora's way, up to Effect and Oi Rain, and they will win it. Aurora take game 4.
Guns blazing, as we saw in that end game. They had no rights at all to win that game right there. Infinite should have immediately capitalized on the fact that they got so low and even traded at that point, but Hiarka opening up with that damage through the wall into actually closing out, like I think he did like 400 damage in that fight into the team that ended up on third. However, Aurora with the clutch, like we said about the fraggers, Effect shows up, Oil Rain shows up wider here to shoot their guns, and they somehow clutch out the fight and finally close out the game. But we can't say anything less about Hiarka with that IGLing, pulling them into endgame after endgame, match after match, and now closing out with the firepower. With the firepower, we've seen it all. Good IGLing, good firepower clutches. What else do they need?
You know, we got the comms listen in this game, and I think I've got it. I think I've got the read on how Aurora want to play. This is a totally different style than what we saw from Alliance with Effect. Effect is having to adapt to a Hiarka who is, as we said, using himself as a laser pointer, not just in terms of the composition, but in terms of the way that he's playing. We saw it on Olympus Rain Day. He's the one trying to make aggressive plays to get his fraggers out in front. He's doing the damage so that the people who do insane amounts of damage can make sure that the fight is nowhere close.
We also like to call that leading by example, and it works in life for sure, especially when you have families and things like that. People look to see, what do you do? And then they follow that. Hopefully you're setting a good one. And in this situation, Hierarch is saying, I can tell you, but let me show you where I want your attention. And sometimes it does work out. There is the problem of, you know, people sitting back as the generals of teams. There's a different philosophy in saying, I need to see the whole battlefield. I need to see what you do and make the smartest tactical decisions. But Hierarch clearly leading from the front, clearly leading by example. And can you argue with a second place, a third place, a second place, and then a first place? That is some incredible IGLing over the course of today. So this is starting to lean a little bit in your side, Dia, as well. But I mean, these overall standings too have given us a lot of storylines here. And, you know, I want to let you have your moment, but I feel like there's some other teams that have really shown us some great talking points, including, you know, HM, Priyaniki. Those have been teams that have been in the top. You look at a team like Orgless and Hungry, who started out really, you know, questionable. We didn't know what to expect for them. All of a sudden, these guys find themselves within the top 5, ahead of Alliance, ahead of FUL, who have won a game, ahead of, you know, Make EU Great Again, who have been a part of a lot of action. Silently but secretly, outside of Aurora, I think Orgless and Hungry might have been, you know, one of those teams to pay attention to today that, you know, we need to focus on.
I mean, I'd agree in some ways, but to be honest, Rain, like, I'm 50-50 still on Orgless and Hungry. I think that they started off the day really well, but Graceful, you and I talked about this. Rain Day, I think I talked to you about this before, like a week ago, where I was saying, yeah, Orgless and Hungry, it's nice to have them back. My questions about this team are not online. They are at LAN. I think this team is realistically going to do well. They're probably going to place in the top half of the top half of EMEA. I'd be a little surprised if they weren't top 10. But whether they're able to succeed online or not actually really isn't going to tell me much. What is going to tell me everything is whether if Orgless and Hungry even make LAN in one split, whether they are then able to perform there, because this is historically a squad that does pretty well to very well in the online season. We get to LAN and it falls apart.
You know, Graceful, is that your take, that Orgless and Hungry have to prove it at LAN, otherwise this is essentially meaningless? Or is this a reset for Matafe with Taxington, with Sampe, where he's starting fresh, and what you're looking at today is the way you're looking at how it'll consistently perform?
Yeah, I mean, I think Matafe is one of the people that I think he left the scene a little bit abruptly, where people were doubting him to an extent. But he's always been able, like you said, online to perform. And then we've had Taxington that had more than doubts throughout the region. And then he was one of the only EU teams to perform, I think, on the open LAN. And then we have Sampid, in my opinion, a new up-and-coming MNK player that's really strong, that people have been not looked at enough, in my opinion. And I think this is a roster that could take things very far. However, we've also seen the flaws, and I believe it was Taxington that has been known for having that flaw specifically in that game that ended around Terminal on the southeast side, where he went in to clean up that one person, I think it was Nate, who just one-magged his ass. And then you can't have that happening.
You can't have that happening.
If, like, they got into a spot to magic could happen, and then you throw it away, it cannot happen. But as long as you keep, you know, reeling in on those small flaws here and there, you're bound to have, like we said, okay, Aurora is just in every goddamn end game. We can't talk about them. But at some point, you will close out the games. And we've seen them able to close out one game so far. Can they keep this up? I'll be very happy to see if they do that.
I think, speaking of Aurora, Dia, this is where I need to let you have your time, because we've talked about how Graceful's calls have sometimes worked out here. I mean, this is by far the best performance we've seen today, maybe in all of EMEA this weekend.
Yeah, you know, I will say, to stay humble, we do have 2 games left, and you know, expect the unexpected and all that.
So more points can be added onto your scores.
But yeah, you know, to enjoy what we've gotten so far, Aurora have been incredibly dominant today with, as Graceful would say himself, consistency. And that's one of the really important things. Hierarch has been really good about getting the team into great positions. And especially as we got that listen in, we're starting to dial in on the formula that's making this team successful. It is, on the first day, a very successful day already for Aurora. They should keep this going for the first half of the split, but I'm excited to see how they get challenged by other teams, as right now, I mean, they are on top.
All right, I'm excited to see. Well, Aurora have done their work so far. We'll see if they can keep it up as Dia takes a little bit of a rest. We're going to jump into match 5, and I'm going to join Graceful here as we see Catalyst ban and we get our second game on Storm Point. You know, Grace, looking at these maps, looking at that graphic, it looks like a pretty even day, but it's certainly anything but that. We've had some serious, consistent performers, and as someone who's been on the front lines of a starting day in EMEA, what have you been able to glean that maybe somebody watching at home hasn't of some of these teams that are either performing well and like, oh, I know what that's like, I've been there, this is what's happening, or maybe not performing well that you're expecting to see and you go, yeah, I've been on that team that we have some pieces, but it's just a slow start. Now we know what we need to work on. What are you seeing?
I think you really have to transition between what level of lobby it is. I always say that, like, there's a difference between group play and finals lobby. This is true for LAN, and this is true for Pro League as well. And now we're seeing those teams that are underperforming in these lobbies where people tend to play a little bit more chaotic. And I'm hoping to see that we're going to see the more common, consistently top performing teams to stay up top. We saw this in the NA region yesterday as well, where Falcons and Liquid had a rough start, did they not? However, they ended in the upper end. I'm looking to see if teams that we know love and know a little bit more consistently at the top are going to pull themselves back, because that's the one thing teams that have stuck together for a long time, or veteran teams with veteran IGLs, are able to pull out, is that they don't go down with 1 or 2 or even 3 bad games. They still have their heads in the game.
And that's an important thing, obviously, and you being in that situation, helping everybody to understand it. There's a mental component to it, but there's also the impact of the realism of what does this lobby look like. Some top performers, you have kind of always helped to kind of create that narrative for people watching at home, and I think for us even to understand that there are people who kind of create the way this game needs to be played based on the top performers of the lobby. And if those players aren't there forcing the way that game is being won or being successful, it changes things dynamically each and every time you jump in. So Aurora obviously having a big impact, Alliance having a big impact on that as well, but teams like Priyaniki definitely involved. What's your take on them? Because FUL, Priyaniki, they've been in these final zones. Priyaniki's been on a lot of the engagements. You see FUL in another engagement. What about the way they're playing is making them so effective at being a part of the action in these games?
I think they're really just playing their play style. Like there's the, how should I say it? There's the benefit and there's the pro and there's the con of being a veteran team. The veteran team is like, we're always opting to play the way we know the game. Like, oh, this is a high level lobby, we're playing this way. Whereas the teams that are not as experienced or doesn't have as much result yet, they just play the game and they're great at the game. They might not have the experience of past results and knowing each and every scenario, but they can all shoot their gun and they're ready to adapt, because these guys, especially the teams that you haven't followed for a long time, they're the ranked grinders. They're the menaces you fight in rank that are just running you over again. And you're like, these guys wouldn't play like this in ALGS. They are playing like this in ALGS. And they might have varied results, but results nonetheless.
I mean, you look at it from a different lens, more relatable and entrepreneurship. Maybe somebody has a product that works really well for one season of time. People really hype about it. And then, you know, all right, let me start my next company. Doesn't work. And the people who have, you know, done this again and again, they know there's a system. Yes, it may work one time, but you want to figure out how it can work 20 times, 50 times. And those veterans, they have their moments, but then they start to realize, okay, we can't do it like this. We've got to maybe taper off some of that and add a little bit of this, and that way we could stay consistent. NOVO Esports getting knocked out as well as we kind of jump into some of the action, making you great again. They're always in the thick of it. R9 sprays all across the board. No. Falling backwards, Nasky helping to get a couple of kills and taking this space for himself and his team. As the Watson gen goes down, it should be fight done and dusted there, as they're just going to look to clean up the pieces afterwards, and we'll already have a squad out of the lobby.
Nasky doing great work right there in that team fight, putting out a ton of damage, making sure that they get that KP and loot. Feeling very happy with this, especially where the zone is pulling as well. Makes them more than happy, as he's actually pulling towards their side, towards Egg, towards those cliffs, or even Prowler in the dome. They're going to feel very good about this. I would like to say, though, on your opinion as well, on your topic before, is that it is true. And that's kind of where you see, how do we make this work consistently, is those are the teams that play for second, like guaranteed KP and placement points, versus trying to win every game, because you can't win every game. It's too inconsistent. The consistent veteran players go for the most consistent points and placement, because that's how, at the end of the day, you move up the ranks. Because at this point, we're not looking to win a match point finals. Right. We're trying to make it there first.
That's right. That's right. You're like done with the thrill of the bloodlust of getting the win and the champion screen. These players have gotten so many wins across their careers. They don't really need that. They have a bigger goal, long-term goal that requires a vision, not just of these 6 games, but the match days that they play, as well as the splits that they're playing, the lands, where they want to end up in the championship when we go back to Sapporo to kick off 2027 and end our year 6. So all that in mind. And NOVO from HM, second place right now. He's actually stayed alive on the Wraith. And is going to try to make sure that if he does hear somebody, they're not pursuing, as he's looking for a way to get his team back up and hopefully give them a chance to get back into the fight here in game 5.
It's going to be interesting, though, on the flip side of things. Far southern side, Vicious, once again, the triple mechanical player. Do they have a brain? We do not, but we do not know, but they do have 3 rollers, and they saw a team on the UAV. This is isolated. Will they drop on them just to take the fight to them? I'm kind of feeling it. I think they might fight this. We see the Zero come out. They're definitely fighting this.
Oh, they are going for it. Citadel Gaming and the Vicious. There comes the exhibit. Everyone's a piece of artwork. Now the focus of attention is really there, like somebody trying to really put the details together. But Chaotic Much says, not enough with those details. We're staying on top, getting a bird's eye view. But there's a trade, and they lose Cracked, but they take down Zuni as well. And Chaotic Much drops down here on the side of the Vicious, trying to get remixed powers. There's a Maggie drill, too, to keep things alive, force them into a zone. But the zone is actually forcing them into each other. And so they're going to have to take the roundabout ways, and hopefully it aligns back with a 2v2 that can take the win. It's a Maggie drill to the face. Finds a little bit. Chaotic Much still on the backside. Everyone's losing health now thanks to the zone. He's going to try to just book it. And this is a smart play because he may just be able to get the window view to any of these types of resets that could be coming, but Zuni doesn't let him. Ooh. And Citadel Gaming grab the kill and take the win over Vicious.
Great movement here to not get knocked by Zuni. However, Queerney on the other side, or actually to the far east side, takes out FUL as well, it seems like, as they are feeling very happy with that. Only one guy went down, but they're picking up a little bit of kills here and there. Zone is pulling towards, like we said before, egg side of things, maybe potentially in that water, could be closer to the dome. Blessed feeling really good. Make EU great again, feeling really good about this. However, one of the teams we keep seeing, like we talked about, ALGS and Hungry, by those rocks in the water, could make a huge splash right here.
Look at the wordplay. This man is a veteran right here. Not only does he dress well, he knows how to put his words together. I think that you're right on cue for talking about this team that, again, very, very good in terms of the online play. We're going to see what changes Dia's mind about ALGS and Hungry, because obviously recognizing the skill, but there are so many times you can come in and root for somebody and see them kind of fall at the same step. Is this the reinvigorated? Is this a reboot with an entirely new cast and new direction, or is this just just trying to remake and do it all again the same way? We're going to find out, as already an initial kind of engagement has dropped 2 here. Kizaron and Yakui up on top with Zidane. So Heaven are down below. Stay healthy, just as Flizzon alive. And so this is going to be a lot for a solo to put together. But a Caustic in a building, it's got a chance.
I mean, stay healthy, really trying to survive for the moment. They didn't get the rest off. It comes down to Flizzon only, but he is the stinky boy. If any character can make a 1v3 happen, it's Sir Stinks-a-Lot himself. He's really trying to make it work. Putting 2 people down low, even gets a down here, but he gets down by Nate, actually. It comes out to almost Yuki going down, but stay healthy, gets eliminated. Good effort, but not enough.
Yeah, his hit single, Baby Got Gas, just didn't really take off the way Sir Stinks-a-Lot wanted on that one. But unfortunate. And again, Zidane taking him down. Again, we talk about that final zone and Aurora pushing up in game 4, and it was effect thinking, now I'm about to pop off. He actually died, you know, and it was you know, Hierga and the rest of the squad who helped complete that win, but Zidane got that final bullet on him in the 1v1, and that just shows you how good Zidane is from the second that he was introduced into the Pro League to being an eventual champion with Hierga, and obviously not trying to run it back for year 5. Still one of the most talented players that we've seen hold a weapon in the ALGS.
Yeah, definitely one of the players that we've seen on several rosters as well, but always been performing to his role on those rosters. And if you can shoot your gun, I think you can land yourself a role on any team almost, because there's so many people missing that crucial point. However, not every team has that hunger to pursue teams, to make those plays happen, like we've seen Effect do in the kill feed right now, where you need to make those plays for your team. And if you're not doing it and you're just playing passively all the time, you're missing out on several options to potentially get more KP or a better position.
Tricks under the pressure here of a Gibraltar shield of bombardment from Gibraltar as we take a look over at the Dragon Eggs here. Max Strafey and Blessed holding the top side of one. The Horde already in the middle of a fight here against Walter Fitzroy. As Hardecki, the Grim Reaper, with the P2020s in hand, throws the gas down. P20s will collide with another body. That's one for Hardecki, looking to get the armor swap very, very quickly. He will get one. Walter Fitzroy smells trouble, and he says that's not to my liking, so he's going to back off as well. Hardecki doing a good job of holding that angle as Effect in your kill feed takes down Bubblegum. And Lufka from Gaming Gladiators on the move, taking down I believe Zidane.
Yeah, big, like the kill feed is lighting up right now. We can't follow every single kill, but we're seeing plays happening right now. Aurora finding their way in for a spot in the next zone. However, making sure to hold out their backs. I always say you gotta hold out your back, because if you're walking in and you're about to fight a team holding you out and all of a sudden somebody shows up behind you, it's not a good time. Priya Nikki, once again, as we saw in the previous games, looking for fights with that longbow, gets the down on Sip. That's a good opening, but Zone will be moving in a minute. Are they opting for the rotate? It does seem that way. They're just making sure to clear a little bit as much as they can, see if they can get a few more extra KP before they move.
Kyler trying to get the teammates back, and will do it. Kearney will be arriving via dropship, and Priyaniki just all on the damage. 1K exist, and finding the longbow, looking like Nicewig out here with the bow. And featuring one of our snipers we don't get to see featured very often. Hemlock obviously has been the dominant weapon, and you know, something up close, an R9, a shotgun, maybe an RE45. Grace, it's so tough though to beat the Hemlock, even with the nerfs that occurred earlier this week. It's just so powerful in terms of its utility and damage right now in this meta.
Let's be completely honest, nerf didn't do anything. It was a 1 damage number drop from 23 to 22, and also the mag size reduction on all mags by 2 isn't enough, because it's just no recoil on it. It's a god weapon, but right now, god weapon or not, you were talking about the RE45. Can Aku, the one new player on the team, make it happen against Citadel Gaming? He gets engaged on by Zidane as well. He's in a rough spot, Rain.
Not the guy you want to go against right when you're already fighting an entirely different team. That is unfortunate, and Zidane just shows up into it. You talked about the kill feed rolling and scrolling down, and you know, if we weren't in this beautiful shot, which I love that our observers are getting for us, you'd be seeing names falling and falling yet again as we go back towards Citadel Gaming, holding down in the zone that was trying to be pushed earlier on with the Watson. And Remix Powers and Kaisha and Zuni, when they were actually at the championships, they were super consistent, and I feel like this is a team that is definitely under the radar in terms of, can they be a top team? They are already pretty much a top team in terms of being able to show up, get in the top 5s, be consistent, but can they push themselves to the next envelope? That's something they'll hope to add to the tally here with a win, but they're gonna have to get past Aurora, who, despite Oirain and Hierarcha still on blues, are in a pretty decent spot here as the zone is closing in on them.
Most definitely, and even then, the next zone might shock a lot of teams as well, because if this zone ends up pulling, it does end up pulling towards the compounds. Game 8 ends right on top of Gaming Gladiators. Wow. Went from a spot that was okay to now making sure to get top 3. Very happy with that. Citadel Gaming, however, on the edge, on the west side, is looking for more KP. But they might run into Aurora now, as Make EU Great Again is looking to opt to join.
And why are you saying top 3? Because they're in that building? Because that's the only real thing that they have to do is hold that space, and eventually it should end up into that? What's your mind making that calculation with?
For Gaming Gladiators,
Yeah,
it ends around the Armory. This zone ends around the Armory, to where even regardless of where it pulls, whether it pulls south or north, it doesn't really matter. They're going to be in probably top 3 the longest, as long as nobody can play on top of them.
Right.
But they won't be able to next zone. So it'll be like only four teams at most for that to happen. And even then, you're going to be fine. Top 4, bare minimum, most likely top 3. High chance to close out the game if we're talking about Gaming Gladiators.
I'm talking about them obviously trying to get back to the position where they were top team in EMEA, thinking they were going to lift a trophy. This is a big day for that. Another team we talked about, Orglis in Hungary, they've been loving those rocks. It's like, let's chill out on the beach. It's been pretty stressful. Let's get in the water, dip our toes, you know, hang out in some shade. Some firepower over there. It's a little hot. Orglis in Hungary, though, will have to move, and they've got a long way to go. The longest way to go out of the entire lobby right now to find safety. And they've got to pass Aurora, Make EU Great Again, Bless, Potassium, the Horde, and ZiPLina Mafia in order to get there.
To see a big collapse on the east side right here. The Horde, ZiPLina, Mafia, Potassium, and Bless. Will Orglis and Hungary find a timing to get past all of them? Look behind them. Will Aurora fight Make EU Great Again? We'll have to see. The kill feed starts lighting up. ZiPLina Mafia gets knocked out as the Horde is safe for the moment, but not in the next zone.
I think the Horde has a chance here. The way they've been playing, they've held this egg. They've got to come out and make things happen. Kazakh can't do it. We know. And look at the bombardment happening as well. Gaming Gladiators getting pushed from on high. Can they hold off? Lufka is barely taking any damage. Only Blast has a few shots to the shield, but he's getting right back up to being healthy. I don't know, Grace. They've kind of found some stabilization with the Gibraltar Dome, and Orglis in Hungary, they're going to try to see if Gaming Gladiators are going to push them off, and they don't have to see if they're going to do it. It's Aurora who come in and find Matafe. Jans as well picking up some damage onto him to get the final KP.
Effect playing that bubble to perfection, making sure to stall and not over peak. All 3 of them stays up. However, Orglis and Hungry manage to take height but gets eliminated. I told you, Rain, that you can't play that too early because you will get shot at by everybody. And now Aurora gets to play that spot in the timing to where other teams can't focus them as easily. However, Gaming Gladiators taking a couple of peeks here and there. A little bit too risky for my taste because, like I said, Gaming Gladiators is essentially guaranteed a top 3. We'll have to see if they stay put and look to play for placement, or are they going to look to wipe and potentially take height as late as possible to win the game.
Goes to what we were talking about earlier. Gaming Gladiators, the position that they're in today in 11th means that they need more. And so I understand playing for the top 3, but I also understand saying, hey, we got to see if we can get the biggest threat to us winning the game out if possible. So taking a couple of shots at Aurora, who is now behind them vying for the same space. That is a tactical decision, maybe to be more aggressive because they have more that they need to do in order to get the job done. Citadel Gaming, on the other hand, 6 squads left as round 5 is closing. Find themselves on the edge here. And with Seer and a full exhibit ready to go, he's going to do the focus of attention. That's a little silence on the Yakui, but they can't break through the Watson fences. So Zuni's just going to heal outside and keep pushing forward patiently with the exhibit down on the outside. They'll have vision and height now to try to see if they can get some KP across the board.
Get it down on Make EU Great Again. Will Aurora close up on those kills there? No, they get wrapped by Citadel Gaming, seeing that down, making sure to play for placement, and KP gets to top 5 with extra KP. Is in a okay spot to get a little bit more, but they're not quite in behind that blue box. Getting absolutely nade spammed out. They all get hit really hard, but they're about to run into a team under in front of them, inside of them, above them, east of them. They're getting absolutely demolished.
Can't get hit by those Watson fences anymore. That's 35 damage, baby. And you're slow. Not against Aurora and Gaming Gladiators, who, again, are holding that side. Infinite's joined them as well. Aurora taking so much space, though. And the other team, we mentioned, they find a way to be involved. Priyaniki, 1 Yans, 1K exists. And we've got Alonzi as well, formerly from Cybercats, working together. 3rd place. This is not a trio. that we would have maybe expected out the gates, but there's that Hemlock breach charge just destroying so many of those fences. It's not that they won't be able to get them back. It's the time wasted, potentially taking down some of the Newcastle smaller walls as well. If they hit it slightly in front of those walls, those will be taken down. And 1K exists, though, having a problem existing right in that area. And he gets taken down with a snipe. And here's the thing, is Aurora, though, going to be able to push that? I don't think they are.
Nah, they shouldn't push that. They should just play on the roof. Priyaniki doing a really good job. You can see the far player right there on the screen all the way to the east is making sure that Aurora can't just overlook them. Aurora is just making sure to hold height right now. If they just hold height, they should be looking at a top 3 minimum, maybe top 2 scenario. That's what they're opting for. Gaming Gladiators played for placement, like we said earlier. They're not opting for the win at all. Priyaniki, however, it will come down to who will be shooting who, as we see Effect once again down Elonzi. Not sure that will do anything. They're are opting to invest a little bit off the utility to see if they can make something happen. Nades are coming out. Hiyarka is going wide. Effect is looking above them. Zidane, however, looking for a TP play behind one of the covers, but will that be enough to make them survive? I'm not too sure about that. Zidane right underneath Effect right now. Hiyarka has that side angle, and they're getting absolutely pinch right now.
Ooh, and Aurora up on top. They already got their win. A second place, a third place, a second place, and now going for a first again after grabbing one in match 4. They avoid the focus of attention Effect. Sees Priyaniki on the other side with the triple take. Throws the Watson Jin up. Still can get shot at, but will use it as a this or that because you shoot that, well, you don't shoot me. One down for Priyaniki. Alonzi is the one to fall on Effect. Oh, he's on cleanup duty. He's like, where's the broom? Where's the mop? Let me go and finish this thing off right here. And Gaming Gladiators still as a trio sitting inside this building.
Gaming Gladiators opting for late game placement will not work. Aurora managed to get it down and take the late game positioning. They even get to keep it down, and OJ Rain up top looking to close out these kills. Priyaniki and Gaming Gladiators will be fighting each other, but the bubble fight breaks out.
Woo! Aurora with the P20s. Oi Rain trying to make it rain with the bullets here from the light mag on the guns that just got buffed. But Gaming Gladiators playing for placement, playing for third. Well, they might have just had a little bit of a miracle. A little bit of a gift. That electrified bubble, no one's pushing through that. Heal up, Lufka. This should be yours. And they'll push as a duo, split the decision, and find the win. Gaming Gladiators with a historic victory here.
What a win from Gaming Gladiators. They had no right to win that, by the way. Priyaniki sent that bubble on Aurora from Aurora having that first initial down to repositioning and still leaving Oirain on top. That looked like a clean deal. That gimme bubble. And the chaos ensues. Immediately, people are saying, I have no cover. I'm going into the bubble. A fight breaks out between Priyaniki and Aurora. Aurora loses out. However, once again, absolutely endgame positioning. They're top 3 again, Rain.
It's amazing, you know, when you look at those top 3s too, there was only one Gibraltar, and that is what they played into, the Gibraltar Watson and the Wraith. And, you know, you have Caustics and Seers, you have Sparrows, you have Bangalores, you have Newcastles. There were some Watsons too. Don't worry about that. But when it comes to Gibby and the impact that he has, the defensive bombardment on the ultimate, and then the electrified dome, which guaranteed the heal, at least 1 or 2 heals, before he was going to start to res on the other side of it, on the side of Priyaniki. A great play from Gaming Gladiators, and honestly, exactly what they needed going into match 6.
Yeah, I mean, that was a phenomenal game. 22 points put you, remember, we're always talking about averages. 22 points moves them up, as we can see right now, into top 4. They will be happy if they get top 3 because they're on the cusp of that. We see Aurora 76. Nobody's really going to overtake them unless they drop a donut. However, if they can buy for that top 3, that's a great way to start Pro League.
Yeah, and you were thinking Aurora was going to grab yet another win. Again, it was another great Aurora game where they made it into the top 3. So another top 3. Hierka has not IGL'd them to anything less than that in their first appearance here in year 6 split 1. So an exciting trend. We'll see if that continues. Game 6 coming up to close us out in EMEA right after this. Sony InZone, the official audio and monitor partner of the Apex Legends Global Series.
Red Bull gives you wings.
Charged and ready.
Quit farting about, would you?
Just give me a shot and I'll shine like the sun.
Follow me. Can't catch what you can't see.
Enemy drone here. My light shines bright.
Hey, let's have fun, friend.
Beauty is pain.
This is gonna be fun, brother.
Welcome back to the second day of the Apex Legends Global Series here in EMEA, where we are about to jump into our last game of the day. The final time for anyone to even come close to contesting Aurora and Graceful. Even that, not really looking realistic.
It's not looking realistic at all. Aurora has been the most consistent team across the board today in every single end game on every single match for the day, while also getting KP is absolutely crazy. Getting that end game consistency is phenomenal. Yarka has been fantastic.
Yeah, I think that's like, again, calling back to the listening that we got out of game number 5, you could really see it there. I was fascinated by their strategy, like you talked about, leaving Oiran on the high ground coming out of game 5 it was, where they like went down onto the low ground, split the team, created this really awkward no-win scenario for GG and Priyaniki. Now coming into this game, however, we are removing yet another defensive tool that these teams have been using and abusing, Caustic. Not going to be available for this final match on Stormpoint, and I don't know if that's going to change that much, to be honest. Newcastle kind of doing what Caustic has been defensively, and offensively, you've got other options. Am I missing something, Grace?
I feel like Alter and potentially Crypto are the only two massive ones that changes your game style, because they enable something that only they can do, essentially, right? Alter takes you straight through walls, through ceilings, through floors. Crypto enables that hyper aggressiveness on team to where if they're caught in a bad positioning with that EMP, they immediately explode. However, the defensive characters such as Catalyst, Caustic, and even if you add Watson into the mix, doesn't really change the gameplay when they get locked out. You know, a hot take, Dia, I want to say that we should do instead? Why not just ban the entire comp when we're banning for a match? So when you're playing that triple character, they get banned out for the rest of the match. That's how it should be, to really mix things up. That's how we see that Mirage. That's how we see Please buff Bloodhound. That's how we see Bloodhound back again. That's how we see those characters that haven't really seen the light of the day. Because when you're really essentially outside of Alter and Crypto, let's just say, when you're really just banning out that one character that switches only one role, the defensive one, let's just say, it doesn't really mix up the bag enough to my taste. I want a little bit of licorice, a little bit of raspberry flavor. I want everything.
I mean, I think we're seeing exactly what you're talking about with the controller bans, right? Like, yeah, because we banned Catalyst, yeah, we're banning Caustic next. If we were going to go another game, we probably ban Watson or Rampart. You know, like, we're just going to keep going through basically people who can scan ring console. And that's at least what we saw in Champs. And the thing is that especially at the professional level, having that advanced information is so absurdly powerful that there's no reason to go with anything else, and we get into a rotating door situation. I like what you're talking about. I think it may be a little bit inherently unbalanced, but we can go through that a little bit later. I think your head's in the right place, Grace. You're creating something unique here in the ALGS, and who knows, maybe we just throw it in there. As we get into game number 6, however, it is just going to be the Caustic ban this time around, so at least changing things up just that little bit, and we'll see who ends up being picked up more. Will it be the Watson? Will it be, I don't know, the Rampart that we saw a little Rampart earlier today?
Yeah, I mean, we see a lot of Bang coming out as well. One playing Ash. I mean, we're seeing some picks here and there that are fun. Seer being very predominant here, but we saw him previously as well for some of the teams that really like to brawl. I don't really think that the meta will change too much right now, because even though Gibby got that buff, like you said, when you have that same role essentially getting tagged in and tagged out, doesn't change the playstyles of the teams too much, unlike like we saw Alter. However, games can definitely be very different, because this zone is nowhere near northwest side of the map. It's actually going a little bit closer to Jurassic and even further southeast.
Interesting. Jurassic is a weird zone. Whenever you see Jurassic and Pylon in the first couple of rings, it gets really awkward because there are very few zones that actually go to the center of those areas. More often than not, it'll pull out of them. And the fact that both Jurassic and Pylon are in ring 2, even weirder. I do wonder whether we're actually getting one of those rings that will pull us straight to the center. Aurora are going to have to wonder for a little while as well, since they're likely going to be pushed into an edge play style this game. Not something that you imagine they're upset about.
Yeah, I mean, it depends on how they rotate. Will they opt for the typical, we're going to get Evos on the way, go kind of mid-speed and see if they can get in? We shall see, but they're about to run into a team as because NOVO Esports right there in front of them on Cascade Falls. Will they stop them? If they do and the fight gets extended, Blessed, Infinite, Stay Healthy, and maybe even Allies, depending on timing, could be annoying as fight seems to be breaking out between NOVO and Aurora. Just a little
Aurora
bit.
do double back towards Blessed. I mean, with Tridents being destructible now, this could very easily bite all teams, but I like this rotation. If Aurora is able to pull it off, move up north, get a little bit more Evo, and like you said, play this sort of mid-speed style. A lot of zone, however, open on the south side as teams like Pixel, Lumina, and the Vicious can rotate in from there. Basically, the entire north side of Barometer is completely open.
Nothing really happening. People just taking a little peek. Could we catch them off guard? They couldn't. All right, let's just play a little bit slow. Making sure that teams that aren't on, like, teams that aren't Aurora in this case right now, of all the teams they ran into, Alliance and also them, Blessed, and then also NOVO, all of those teams want to do good. Aurora, honestly, happy with however the game ends. They're going to feel really good about this weekend's performance, so they're feeling good about themselves, just making sure to close out the game, to take that win home, to make sure that they are in the best spot potential to make it into the later rounds of Pro League.
They don't have potential for a bonus point. No, because they have to win by 50 or more points or win 3 games. They can't win 3 games, and I don't think they can win by 50 or more points. That would be, I mean, it would be insane.
Yeah, they would have to drop an absolute bomb, and other teams would have to fall very early. But zone, people are starting to line up in Jurassic right now. We also see Pylon start to fill up a little bit by 4 teams-ish. Now, we will see some edge teams opt for Barometer side and see if they can fight for that egg side against ZiPLina Mafia. We'll have to see, but northeast side right now, Horde is fighting Potassium, I think, and Orgles and Hungry, feeling hungry. They hear gunshots. Can they 3P this? Right now, Potassium is about to get pinched.
They keep moving forward, delaying that for a little while longer, but the Horde are hot on their trail. Sweepy going to be the first one forward. And now that we're getting into building territory, there is actually potential for Potassium to turn this around should the Horde catch up to them, but a full disengage on every side. Orglis and Hungry are gone. The Horde have turned back. Potassium are alone. And what could have been, only we will know, Graceful. These teams have no idea how close they came to death.
Yeah, it's very true. Only we know. They don't know. They'd have to find out by face checking a door. It's the most scary part of Pro League, because now you're in the last games. Teams that are at bottom 10 don't really have much to lose. They need a banger game, so they're gonna make banger plays. And you don't want to be one of the teams that get absolutely engaged on by teams that are normally wouldn't make those plays. However, they don't really have anything to lose because they need to try to round themselves up in that top 10, top 5 bracket to get a couple more extra points on that board. However, when you have this macro and you're opting to fight absolutely everyone, people will start to take notice of you. Yeah,
you see that?
20th place team playing Mirage. Is it?
I will say, you don't see it every day. Pretty happy that we get to see it now. Pixel Lumina do fortunately have a lot of space here. And I would say on paper, there's no way that they lose this fight, because it's a fight that they don't have to start. They can play back. They can use this fence for cover. There's nobody coming up behind Pixel Lumina. They should not die here.
For now, Dia, when the teams that haven't seen the zone sees this zone, somebody should be wrapping that southwest side potentially. They need to hold that side out, and it always comes down to it. When you have too many teams in the next zone, who is holding who out and who will be looking to opt for a 3P to leave up their positioning? Like, will SIP look to just join in on them if they get engaged on by the southern side, or will it be vice versa if somebody like randomly balloons or Valkos on them without this, or randomly lands on them, you know? I don't think we'll have to see too much chaoticness happen just yet. But as the zone is about to shift, are they feeling happy or are they feeling sad?
Note, Aurora, SJP2.
Oh.
Ooh. All with ring console. There is a ring console in Pylon. If Heavener or Citadel can manage to touch that, Orglis and Hungry look like they have one just behind the little ring 2 countdown.
Yes,
and
they are
Vicious,
very happy with that.
Alliance get one as well. Alliance and Aurora both have this information. I mean, this is a big ring to get advanced information on. It's a lot like the ring that we ended Champs on, just the opposite way. Instead of going from Launchpad to Pylon, we're going Jurassic to Pylon.
It's very true, and we even saw this zone essentially yesterday on NA when Alb's team won as well. They won on top of that little box right there in the end, and it was phenomenal gameplay from them. If you haven't watched, you should rewatch yesterday's matches as well. But match 6 right now, Orglis and Hungry got the knowledge, got into zone, are now going to be holding out teams on the southern end. However, not scary just yet. Teams won't engage yet. They will just be playing on that mountain, making sure nobody's rotating into them. We actually saw Blessed creep up from the western side of that zone. Are they going to opt for the southern side as well? We'll see if Pixel gets into a fight later on. But right now, SJP2, right next to Potassium, is looking to get that knowledge themselves, it seems like, as they're going for the ring console.
Mirage Ash, a gentleman's composition. SJP2 are stuck on an awkward side of zone as well. This eastern side is likely going to get pinched in by several teams, and a rotation out of here, a bit awkward from them as well. I would have assumed that they picked up the Evo in their previous path, but no, that seems to be the path for right now. It'll take SJP2 up, and actually surprisingly behind Aurora, who you can see in the distance with this shot. SJP2 likely gonna run into Aurora a little bit later on.
Yeah, but even then you have other teams on Edge as well. But opposite side of Edge, dead center zone. Make EU great again. Currently on 10th. They need to have a breakthrough game to get them into that top 5 positioning, hopefully, if they can. And they're looking to... They're playing highly pressured right now. Several frags are coming in. Syracuse are coming in. More frags are coming in. At least the Watson are getting some fences out to keep them out. Citadel Gaming can't push on it due to Nasky playing really well right there. Right now they bubble through though. See if they can make a play on this as they're swinging together as a trio. Huge track and remix.
How are we not knocking this? Oh no, how are we getting wrapped on? Making you great again. Have to back off with a bubble push that actually should have gone much better for them. Didn't seem to quite be on the same page about who they were firing. Calling out, like we were talking about, laser pointering your squad onto one person.
Yeah, I think I'd like to see that Play-Doh where they're being proactive with the bubble, see if they can make a play. Speaking of proactive right now, Vicious right now, 18, looking to make a big play happening. A huge spray by CJ. Gets 2 downs and even cracks the third one. And he 1v3s essentially them. I mean, they did triple swing, but he did all the damage. CJ right there showing exactly why he's been picked up on several rosters and continuing to perform mechanically.
That's that laser pointer we were talking about. And SJP2, who we spoke on earlier, running into not Aurora, but the Horde in this spider choke. Denze should be able to find a knock here. Well, it's okay. It's okay. We're going to get back into game. That's just an observer crash. I've been around long enough. I've seen this go on.
We're back in the game as we saw right there. SGP2 in the zone currently. We're fighting the Horde. Both of them decide to say, hey, let's just split up this fight. We both want to make it into the zone. Are opting to heal right now, but the Horde still in Spider's cave. Are they going to look to wrap them once again? Do everybody have enough heals? I see 3 medkits and 2 Phoenixes on Dense. I think they're feeling more than happy to sit in the zone.
Yeah, that was a weird, like, do we, don't we situation. Denze could have been sliding down this whole time and catching up with the rest of the team, but instead, there might be even late to the play as Aurora are taking their fight on the low ground right now. This could be third partyable by SJP2, but it's a matter of timing, and Aurora seem to be the ones that are ahead of the play, just stepping on forward, making sure to secure kills, playing safe, but they have to keep their eyes out.
They're going to have to fight more than one team to make it into the next zone. SGP2 is coming in from the zone, but we can't forget about the Horde, who was also around the Spider's cave right there. Potassium down to a duo, I believe, are looking to run away and run into the zone. They're really lucky that nobody's gatekeeping them on that hill. However, Vicious, that we just saw right there from CJ, essentially the 1v3 damage-wise, are stepping up to the plate as well.
Nice job by UAIM, sending out the arrow. Just creates a nice zone that Aurora essentially own. The threat here is implicit. UAIM's gonna drop on anybody who's cracked. Ooh. He doesn't get that calm, but he still does an immense amount of damage, and Effect is there to clean it up. Effect is gonna need Hierka with him, but Hierka goes down. Aurora losing control of the fight, have left it all up to Effect, who's gonna try and stick the res right now. Real Pro stick these, and he's got it.
Gets that reset, very crucial. Almost gets bamboozled for a bit by the Mirage, but they manage to clean it up, get the full reset. They got 20 seconds left. One is trying to make a play with the Wraith TP in the zone. Is not enough. Aurora gets the reset. We say the reset. I hope to have an evac, because right now they have 10 seconds and they have to make it through the next hill where the Vicious is playing right now. Never mind the fact that the team is on top of them.
But Potassium are inting them right now. Taking this portal actually is the best way out for Aurora. Potassium extend for the play. Aurora managed to capitalize on that and move a little bit further forward. They've essentially swapped places with Potassium and now get to gatekeep them. This is a stroke of genius.
If they have an evac, they need to be popping it ASAP, because right now they're getting held by Vicious. Never mind the Potassium, the duo is right behind them. Are they about to get pinched, or are they going to make a huge play? There's no way they 1v3 in front and kills the duo while taking zone damage. Huge nature coming in.
This would have to be the fastest 1v3 that I've ever seen. UAIM does manage to move on forward, but with zone at their backs, Aurora do not have any health to play with. Even Sparrow's not going to save this from this, and we will be saying goodbye to Aurora in 15th place. Hierka does what he can, but that's all she wrote. Aurora, our first place team, go down here. Who else will rise to compete for that title? Our second place team, Priyaniki, still in this, and the Game and Gladiators, winners of our last game, look to fight ZiPLina Mafia for their entrance into zone.
Comes down to a 1v1 on the knockdown shield. Takes a little bit too much damage to the zone. Can he get in and get the reset? He's looking for the armor swap potentially. Nope, opts for the reset. Fades away.
I think he gets this bad if he wants it. No, Fit wants to punish, but Shane punishes instead!
Sane opts for the 1v1 despite being low HP, because that's what he's known to do. We've seen him perform on land, we see him perform online. He gets the reset potentially here. He's not going to get engaged by the Vicious or Priyaniki. Seems to be getting the full reset here. Phenomenal play by the winners of last match. However, the Vicious that we talked about, CJ's immense play right there in that building earlier in the game, are in a spot right now to make something happen. They will, however, be fighting Gaming Gladiators on the southern side, but Pri and Nikki right now, dead center zone, are feeling really good about themselves.
I don't know if I'm feeling great about Pri and Nikki's chances of winning this game. Like you're talking about last game, I'm comfortable predicting a top 3 for them. This building should be at least that. But when it comes to end games, Pri and Nikki have been great at getting there. Their ability to turn that into a win has been lacking. And if I can be honest, Pri and Nikki have been kind of throwing a lot of end games, taking weird fights, not scouting properly as we saw in game 1, or last game, sort of panicking and pushing a team all at once. I'd love to see Pri and Nikki win this game, but they've really got to lock in if they want to find the win that has evaded them for so many rounds.
They have maybe not been able to close out as much as they want to. However, sitting very comfortably on top of that leaderboard, they're more than happy with this game ending them essentially almost. If they get top 3, they're essentially guaranteed top 3, which makes them very happy for a great day for them to have played. Gaming Gladiators get that full reset, has the TP up top. Are they going to opt to fight the Vicious, or are they going to opt to coexist? Coexisting is very risky, so we see Sane doing what he does best with that scout, seeing if he can make some plays happen. Throw a few nades out, Ray facing, just taking a little bit of a peek.
Yeah, it's smart. He takes an angle that no other legend can take. Just sits by the zone and knows that he can go back completely safely. It's a nice fish, and like you're talking about, coexisting may not be comfortable, but it's certainly more comfortable than running at a fight that you know you'll lose. The Vicious are fishing for a win in it, however, and do not seem happy with Gaming Gladiators as their neighbors. Citadel Gaming will, however, fall on our way in there, and Gaming Gladiators should be escorting another team out as well, with HM sandwiching alongside Gaming Gladiators on the remaining members of the Vicious. Stay healthy, do go down.
Lufka also has, they have double scout right now. Lufka had a double down with the scout as well. They get those 2 down, seats the pinch and says, hey, let's just play it slow right now. We're just making sure that we're staying alive. We'll clean them up eventually. However, they seem to have gotten almost a solid reset, right? They're still just making sure to stay alive around that. They don't want to overcommit to this, because if they get triple swung at the same timing as they're looking to clean that up, it's going to be really risky. They're opting for the bubble play potentially. Yeah. They are.
I like the bubble. It just denies any chance of finding a full reset. Blasts gets to push on forward along with Z, and it just works out fantastically. Now Alliance with them are low inside of a zone that is going to quickly get away from them. A Heavener do fall as well. We're down to 7 squads, and I'll be honest, Alliance, they're going to have to make a historic play right now. I think there are a couple open spots that they can take right next to Orglis and Hungry.
There are some spots too where they at least can come out of the TP without dying. Like right here, they can place this and then play from here. They're going to have to fight Orglis and Hungry or somebody in front of them for something, but at least they made it here. They're about to get pinched from behind. Bubble comes down early, seeing if they can make a play for this. A team inside the building and team underneath the platform. Which one are they opting for?
I don't know if I love using the bubble now. They don't have it for the fight against Orglis and Hungry. Pylon does go down, protecting Alliance for a little while, but Bubble gives the advantage to Orglis and Hungry, who should be safe inside of it. Gibraltar ult now used. Alliance may soon have their bubble out off cooldown again, but they're going to be gate-kept by teams like Blessed. Alliance now bubble themselves. This is a very awkward fight. Orglis and Hungry are out surviving Alliance right now, and they've got their bubble back as well. It is bubble on bubble on bubble, and finally, FUL have had enough. They come over, take out Orglis and Hungry, and look for the finish on Alliance.
Might have gotten that cleanup right now, but they're stuck between 2 teams. Gaming Gladiators are doing it phenomenally right now as they're trying to wipe out the Lions, as the team from above is also looking to join the fray. Gaming Gladiators not getting shot by anyone right now, as they own the entirety of the north side of the map. They actually have the end zone. If they can hold this out, or if they can put somebody behind them, but they don't really have the time to do it right now, looking to opt to avoid for a full commit, as Sane is in a rough spot. They need to make sure that they stabilize here, because if they can hold this on, they can close out this game as well.
This is a great bubble. I mean, everybody's pretty low on health. Gaming Gladiators need the reset. Yeah, I love that you mentioned Zane. He has been the difference maker for Gaming Gladiators in this last game. A big part of their win. They could double up in wins right here, right now. But Gaming Gladiators have to play the defense of their lives as NOVO looks for a flank on them. This flank is free, instantly denied, however, by the Gibraltar ult. Makes that an extremely unsafe place to play. Another bubble goes down. Gaming Gladiators are trying to outlast. How did blasts? Zane manages to find the RE45. Gaming Gladiators could still do this even as a duo, and they've got a banner as well. There's even a reset potential here. Let's watch what Lufka does as Zane plays the staircase right now. Does get sent on, doesn't manage to jump into the void, and it's all down to just one last member, Lufka of Gaming Gladiators, who will fall, leaving this between Blessed, Priyaniki, HM, as our squads that could find the final win.
Big play by Bless as well. Got that outer side of the map. The zone ends right in front of them. H&M is underneath Priyaniki, but who will survive the longest when it comes down to it? Who throws the last bubble? Who will survive in the open area as these teams are walking in with the zone closing right behind them?
Priyaniki are dead. They've got zone on them. They don't have a safe place. Ilonzi is almost surely going to die trying to exit the building. Blessed look like they're in a great position. Jans waiting for his moment, sends Alonzi into the zone, and where Alonzi goes, Jans will follow, jumping down on top of Priyaniki and handing this win over to Blessed.
Blessed has a huge finish for this whole series, and that shoots them up really far alongside the leaderboard. I'll be very interested to see where they end up going. And I'd be super happy to have that game right behind them. And we saw that placement. A lot of the teams, this is something that I really, really love about Apex. We always keep mentioning that it levels up all the time and the teams get stronger. We see it because several teams are contesting for that winning positioning, whether it be by TPing, by throwing bubbles, throwing GBLs, for everything to make sure that they can deny that winning fighting angle, essentially. Bless comes out on top, win that match, and that shoots them right up the leaderboard. And I think they might not be extremely happy, but they're more than confident to say this was just day one. This was just like this day. We'll have more days to come. This is just a warm-up. We're happy with this.
Yeah, honestly, for day one, you could do a lot worse than 5th. This is a fantastic way for Blessed to end the day, finding the final win, proving to themselves that they can find a win, which is really important in Pro League, and being able to clinch a top 5 position. Of course, there's always, until you get to first and until you get a bonus point, there's always something more that you could have done. But to be honest, there are 30 teams in the Pro League, and most of them are not going to place top 5 in their first day.
That's true. That's exactly what the math will tell you. And I'm here to say that it's not just the math. It was Blessed putting together a really good showcase of how to win a game and when it mattered too, taking a little bit of that narrative back their direction. I feel like a narrative in these early days is with the teams that take it, because, you know, we start to build these long-standing thoughts on teams, and that's hard to change later on in the season. But right now, it's up for grabs. And shout outs to Bless, Max Strafey, Artico, Sanya, who have gone through so many ups and downs, persevered throughout our league to be in a position like this, through so much, to jump 4 spots in the final game and make it into a top 5. A big salute there. Another major performance from Gaming Gladiators, who were so close to turning it into a 2nd place on the day. They came out of nowhere, Dia. But Priyaniki, that was really the team that was always around. They somehow were always involved, always in the mix, and we couldn't stop saying their name, and there's a good reason for it. With their performance last game, they jump into 2nd place right behind Aurora, who takes 1st place on the day.
Yeah, Priyaniki really, really impressed me today. Like, you know, I'm sure you heard us talking about it as we approach the end game. It doesn't really feel like they've got the final circle down yet, but I mean, that is literally the last piece that you have to work on as a team. Everything else about Priyaniki is feeling incredibly consistent, and if they're getting themselves into end games like this, they're going to solve the end game eventually, because they get so many more chances at it than everyone else, because you get to run so many more, I guess, simulations, but real life scenarios where you're just trying to find that final win in Pro League. I think Pri and Nikki may have gone away from today. I've certainly gone away from today going, yeah, well, you could have won more games, but it's the best place to be in as a team that is just picking up the early bit of momentum at the start of the season.
Yeah, and Graceful, how do you look at Pri and Nikki coming forward? Because he's right. They haven't solved the points from placement. Only 16 of their 64 points have actually come from that. Actually, no, a little bit more. 30 of their points have actually come from that. 34 points for kills, though. So they're clearly getting into decent spots, but they're still kill heavy in terms of how they're operating. How do you solve that?
I mean, at the end of the day, it's practice makes perfect. If you can put yourself into those end games like we've seen, you get to practice more and eventually something will unlock. You have to replay those fights and be like, okay, we did this. What should we have done different? But one thing I'll say, though, the other teams that haven't gotten any kill points for that matter, if you can't win your gunfights, you don't even get the opportunity to make it into endgame. And they've shown time and time again that they're not shying away from any fights, and they've been coming out even on top of most fights.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's been an overall really solid day, guys, for them. And, you know, Aurora, we can't shift the conversation away as we're talking about, you know, the takeaways from today. We had this major start where you two threw fisticuffs at each other, and it was Alliance versus Aurora. We've clearly seen the results, and while we're going to have some time to kind of get into the details of that in just a minute and maybe talk to one of our members from the winning team, it's just something to think about as we head into the rest of the season. These two teams are in the same group. We get to see this every time we see Group C. This is just some great AMIA action. I know these broadcasts are going to be so fun. And speaking of that, let's take a look at our Sony in-zone kill leaderboard. I know, Dia, I cut you off there, but maybe you got something to say about Pri and Nikki, Jans, and Oirain tying for first place.
Yeah, I mean, this does tie in perfectly, especially with, I mean, Jans coming out on top, really impressive, and definitely one of the big focuses that we should have on Pri and Nikki in the future. But when you're throwing people like Oirain, Zidane, and BMZ up there as well, FUL is another squad that I really want to keep my eyes on. They had a couple of really good fights in them, and like you're talking about, Graceful, winning gunfights is going to be really important. My addition to your point, Rainday, was that not only do we get to see this every time with Aurora and Alliance playing each other, but how much more fun is it going to be when UAV are also in the lobby and you've got Uchako there as well, completing this sort of trade of team members.
It's going to be a blast, man. I mean, you know, EMEA has done the shuffle, and they need to be, because this is a region, when we zoom out, that has fallen out of the conversation in champs as the team that we expect to take a win. And that is unfortunate, because they have so much talent, especially at the top end and across the board, for the quality of what can be brought from, you know, EMEA. And when you look at shooters and the history of that in esports, EMEA has clearly been one of, if not the most dominant region. This is where they need to figure it out. It's the right squads. And Alliance and Aku, we'll be talking about that, I'm sure, but also we'll be talking about teams that, hey, maybe say it's not going to be those teams in the past, Graceful. It's going to be the teams now, like Jans, who took a 16-kill lead for a Sony in-zone kill leader. Congratulations to him and to Pri and Nikki for their second place finish. But
I'm gonna help everyone out here. I Googled it because I was like, what is that logo? Pri and Nikki's a food. I didn't Google it before, guys.
Yeah.
It's, if you're wondering at home, why is there a cookie behind him? Is it a pita bread? It's a cookie.
It's a cookie.
And it's a food. It
looks so good. We actually got a tweet about it. I think it was from Jam. I want to say Jan Jamerson or Jan. I mean, it's not somebody in that range tweeted us the pronunciation. So I appreciate that. It's always great if you've got a pronunciation that we have, and a lot of these players come out. It's the first match day we're actually seeing them in our pro league. So if you have that, feel free to tweet us and let us know how it sounds. All right, we've got time to talk to the main man of today. We started the narrative off of the ALGS and EMEA today with him, and the impact of not only leaving Alliance, but also being a part of this new team. And we get the chance to bring him in here. It's Effect. Congratulations on the win, and welcome to the show.
Thank you.
So you got a smile on your face. Is that because you guys just, you know, got 83 points and won the day?
Yeah, and it's also because it's my first interview. I'm kind of nervous.
Well, I'm going to ease you into it, man. You're doing great. And, we have a lot of things to talk about. So pretty much anything you say is going to turn into front page news. Okay. So no pressure. Yeah. The one thing I want to start with is obviously this is a New Jersey. This is a new organization. I see all three of you. I'm assuming this is in some place set up by Aurora for you guys. How has it felt transitioning to a new identity here? You still have a team that starts with the letter A, so you kept it kind of safe, but it's obviously a new team. How has it been feeling for you jumping in and obviously winning day one?
It was pretty easy. The practice we got for like a month straight was pretty good. We literally made so many mistakes and fixed them very, very quick too. And I feel like if we had more time to practice, we would have won like 5 out of 6 games today, easily.
Wow.
And also the transition sometimes is when it screams. I always join the old team. I just see the name and I instantly join.
You had such a good performance today. I want to know how on earth you can do that when Hyarka's keyboard is so dang loud. What on earth was that? Does that bother you when you're scrimming, or do you not even notice?
I literally don't hear it. I don't hear it.
Oh my God, that was crazy. That was crazy. I mean, it was a fantastic match day for you, though, and I mean, like you say, it's habit. You have a lot of habits from when you were on Alliance. Today is the first time that we're seeing you on Aurora. What have those habits looked like? What if you had to change as a player to fit in with what I imagine is a very different squad dynamic and with Hyarka?
Well, you can't really tell. It's a secret, Is the shots. But basically, it was only playing a bit less aggressive because since we're not playing on edge anymore, in zone, one mistake and you're dead pretty much. So I'm just learning how to not do that.
I would say we even saw that in some games, especially the one that ended southeast of Terminal, where you were the one who actually held your position. We saw Hyarka try to go on the aggressive, got punished a little bit, but you guys managed to hold your spot. And we can, you're even evolving right now, and this is day one, and you're doing so good, as a team. I'm really happy to see as well, because that was one of the main questions I had, was that I felt like watching you guys scrims where you have a little bit more power now to make the plays, and we actually listened into you guys play as well, where you all were on the same page. We have to fight for the roof. I beamed the guy on the roof. Go, go, go. And you're on the same page. Yeah. Do you feel like you have more of a say on the team now than you did previously on
Now, on this team, it's different. The comms, when I just joined, it was pretty rough to get used to it. But here, I really don't need to say anything. Hyarka just IGLs us perfectly. And then me and OG just shoot our guns. It's that simple.
It definitely looked like you both were shooting your guns. So I'll have to say that. And also, you say you're nervous for the first interview. My guy, dude, we sat on a plane for 12 hours. We spoke for 10 hours. What do you mean nervous?
Not in front of thousands of people, though.
Yeah.
I mean, I have a quick question about the transition as well, because we were talking about Hyarka being almost like a laser pointer for you guys, especially when we were in comms. He's so often playing forward and having you guys follow up on this play that he's coming over and over again. How has that been for you, knowing the skills that you already have and knowing that you can say frag and and go in first? How have you felt in these games? Do you think that you personally have more control over the outcome of a fight when you go in first or when you go in last?
It really depends. I feel like any person who plays aggro characters like Dave or Alta has all the control of the game, and I don't really mind. It's more in competitive, it more happens when you kill people on Alta or on Dave in their off position, right? And you get 3 kills from that. But in terms of 1v1, I don't mind playing any character. Rampart, Alta, Dave, it's just pretty much the same. I just gotta, when I'm not playing aggro characters, I gotta keep holding the hand of my beloved OJ.
Yeah. Now I have 2 questions. One's a serious one and one's not. First of all, what the heck is Hyarka looking at? Because it can't be the scoreboard that intently. You guys already know you won. What is he looking at over
He's
there?
looking at the scoreboard.
I mean, it's he's just I can't believe we got 83 points. I just keep having to stare at it.
He's on the
Okay, the second serious question is, this is a season that has changed, your entire environment in Apex Legends. You're one of the most well-known players in your role in Apex. You've got a ton of people who support you, and you've changed organizations, and that is a big deal. So for you as a person, when you wake up, when you made this move, when this happened for you, and now that you have a chance to let everyone know and set the record straight, what does success mean for you with this change? What is the ultimate goal? Is it, I want to get to this level in my own game, I need to learn how to do these things better? Is it with Aurora, we need to win? What defines success this year for you in year 6 on Aurora Effect?
Doing better than Alliance. That all that matters. I'm joking. Nah, we're gonna win everything. That's all that matters.
I was gonna say, you gave us the perfect answer. We're gonna use that every day. There it is. Cut. All right. Well, hey, man, we're going to let you guys go. Maybe you can have Hierarchy turn his head left or right slightly at some point. He might need a massage if he doesn't move too long. And congratulations on the win, guys. We'll let you get back to hanging out as a team and enjoying it. All right, Effect from Aurora. They get the win. And Hierarchy's locked in, man. This guy knows that he did something special. He certainly did. That was pretty funny. 86. I can't stop looking at these points. Man.
Is he like thinking about what he could have done better? Is he like, it could have been 87? Like what?
I know. Is he trying to find the square root of it? I don't know. There's something intense happening at that scoreboard, but there's not a lot of thought when you win. You know, you're at the top. But Graceful, I mean, I like how you dove into that too, because you know, clearly there's a lot of tactical things that that Effect is learning, and even slowing down. He mentioned learning how to slow down is his new, you know, kind of almost credo to himself, which is a lot of what we thought about when you know, comparing to how he was playing with Hockeys on Alliance.
I mean, that's literally the clip I said as well. He was so hungry to make plays, and now he's learning to reel it in. We're seeing him perfect himself as a person, not only as a player individually for his role, but what else can I improve on? And seeing that already at this stage, this early into the year of the competition, is like, what is he going to be when we see them at the final grand stages again? He's going to be a completely different monster. Maybe he's known for something else, the absolute awareness and decision making. Like, it's phenomenal to see players that this is what I think a lot of teams and organizations, when they're looking for players, they're like, he has the potential to be something. Effect is literally that player. He was this and is still working so hard to become or rebuild himself in a way that potentially can lift him even higher.
And it's so crazy to see this development as well, because in throwing it back to the pre-show, Rain, this was sort of the right result, but the opposite perspective that I had on what was going to make Aurora successful. I thought they were going to try and unleash Effect, use the space he bought to try and capitalize on everything, and instead they are really dialing back, putting them into his own position and saying, you have this much firepower, that basically makes us untouchable. And that is a totally different read than I had on what would make them great.
Yeah, and it's interesting when you look at the comparative way that maybe Hockeys and Hierarchy come into effect, enabling or kind of not slowing down, but kind of, you know, just putting him more into reserve. Which one actually impacts Effect being a better player? Because maybe the way Hockeys played, Effect felt the need to be more aggressive. Otherwise, there wouldn't be that aggressiveness. Maybe because of Hierarchy, like, dying right away. You know, he's the first down half the time. You know, Effect's like, I can't be that. You know, somebody's got to stay back. And so, in a way, I think Hierarchy's willingness to get aggressive has helped Effect find the balance of when he should go and when he shouldn't. So those are great awarenesses. I can't wait, man, for this every single time we see Group C. That is really, really exciting, guys. Thank you, Dia and Graceful, for an amazing day. We are going to be coming back later on in just a couple of hours for you. Get some lunch or maybe grab some dinner, a little meal break, take a walk, hang out with the fam on Easter for those who are celebrating, and then come back because it's 3 p.m. Pacific time that we'll be jumping into the Americas. We've got more great action coming up from then. But AMIA, what a scintillating start. Aurora and Alliance certainly took the top spots on the billing, but Priya Nikki took the second place and made us focus on them and Jans and that amazing kill leader performance. But Aurora stole the day. We'll see if that continues. More action coming up in the ALGS later on this afternoon with North America. We'll see you there.